Hello, and thank you for joining us on Tax Day. I hope everyone has finished their taxes. They're due today. If you haven't finished them, I hope you have put through an extension to file your taxes. So I set up a new game and I put the play code in the chat so anyone that wants to play can join in. This is Trap Chess. Trap Chess is a take on chess where you have hidden traps in the board that can remove your opponent's pieces. It's a new mechanic that allows a balance between two players of differing skill levels. Currently, I'll be playing with maximum traps. Maximum traps increases the likelihood of an activation. The traps are visible on my side, as you can see. So down here, I have a legend that shows you what takes what. So I'm playing the white pieces right now. So you'll see on my board that I have, like on D3, for example, I have a trap with a black background. That means it will remove a black pawn. So there's a trap on the board for every single piece, plus an extra one for the queen, because who doesn't want an extra trap that can take out your opponent's strongest piece? So when you download the app and you play, you get the option to choose the quantity of traps, and then it auto lays them on your half of the board. So I'm playing with mine visible. You can toggle that on or off. I have it on so that people can see where they are, and my opponents will always be a surprise because I'm not streaming the locations of their traps. Only they can see that. Okay, the first code is in the chat. It's 17T. PXW. So whoever wants to play, feel free to join and we'll get a game going. Excuse me. I had some spicy food right before going on the stream. So if I'm sniffling a little bit or clearing my throat, it's just the effects of the spicy food. So here with Trap Chess 2, you can see that each side has a 12-hour timer. So if you're busy during the day, but you really like chess and you want to play, you can set up a game with a friend and then you'll get a push notification every time it's your turn. That way you don't really have to worry too much about missing your turn or about the timer running out. But if the timer does hit 0 on your side, just like regular chess, you automatically lose. So, all right. So whoever wants to join, feel free to enter that code and let's get started. Last week we set the pace and we played 4 games. This week I have more time. So I'll be staying with you a little bit longer and we'll be playing more games. I'm down to play with anyone. If you are a beginner to chess, don't fret. No one will know that it's you playing me. There's no unique identifying information to say that, hey, this is the person playing. The only one you can see playing is me on my side, and then whoever else joins is random unless you go in chat and say who you are. So yeah, feel free to join. Also, if you have questions about chess in general, I am a chess teacher, so I can teach you a little bit about the game. I can also layer that with trap chess to teach you the differences between regular chess and trap chess. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm here to help. In the background, you can see the box for trap chess right over there. And then over here, you can see the divider for trap chess. Those are 2 different products for the board game. The first one is the board game itself. The second one, it's hard to do it in a mirror. You know, it's hard to see where your finger's going. There we go. So the second one is the divider add-on for trap chess. The divider unlocks 2 new game modes, which allows you to lay traps during the game itself. So just to kind of break down the layers here. Trap Chess, the app, has the least barriers to entry on learning trap chess. If you know how to play chess, you can play right away. It does have the ability to help you learn how the pieces move. When you tap a piece, it shows you the squares it can move to, and then the colors actually match. So you can see on A3, there's an orange one that would remove knights. So you can see that when I tap my knight, the color matches the trap that would remove it, so that over time you get used to it. But just to reiterate, the app has the least barriers to entry. You don't need to make an account. You don't need to save any data. It keeps gameplay data for me for the future, and it keeps logs of things like push notifications to test for failures and device information so I can look for bugs. But it doesn't keep any personal data as far as like names, phone numbers, anything like that. So that allows you to just generate a code, send it to a friend, join, and play. It asks you how many landmines you want to lay. When you choose the number of landmines, it auto lays them on your half of the board randomly. When you upgrade to the board game itself, you can play this exact same way, or you can choose the locations of your landmines. You could also play with friendly fire on. If you play with friendly fire on, you can hide landmines throughout the board, and any landmine can take out either player's pieces, as opposed to this version where you can only lose a piece when you cross to the other side of the board. Also, the board game version of Trap Chess unlocks a new type of trap called chess piece traps, or CPTs. Those are traps you can hide behind your chess pieces. So in this version, you have traps that are equipped essentially to squares, but in the board game, you have traps that can be equipped to pieces. So when the pieces move, the trap goes with it. So it's kind of like a moving trap. I do have a lot of resources to talk about that on the YouTube channel. If you have any questions, you can ask me directly or watch some of the informational and strategy videos. They were built with the original version of this product, which I called Game of Chance Chess at the time. It's a wooden version of Trap Chess. And this version was made specifically because it's at a lower price point. And it uses lower price materials rather than wood, because wood is expensive. And that helps people to really understand it, because now you can purchase it at a lower price point instead of throwing in a lot of money at a high-end chessboard. Now, to go back to what I was saying about the upgrades, so you have the app, which is just the regular landmines in the board, least barriers to entry. Upgrade to the chess, to the board game. The board game gives you the new type of trap, the chess piece trap. You can hide behind the chess pieces. And then the divider unlocks, where is it? Yeah, there we go. Unlocks the additional game modes where you can play, where each time a player crosses to the other side of the board, you put the divider in, and then each player hides a trap. Or each time each player gets one move each, then you put the divider in and you hide a trap. Those rules are actually on the trapchess.com website. They were put up this week so that you can see. The board game itself will be coming with the color version of those rules, but those rules are available online. There's one with like just big pages of PDF with big text so you can read it, and then there's one that's if you print it double-sided and flipping on the short side, you can fold it and make a rule book. I have an example of it over here. See, here's an example of an earlier one, as you can see. See, and I had notes as I was working on it. So that's what I mean by you can print it double-sided and fold it, and you have your own rule set. So if anyone would like to join and play the game, I have the code at the top. It's 17TPXW. Feel free to, you need to download the Trap Chess app. Then you can enter the play code at the top and then hit join game, and it'll join right away, and it'll ask you to pick your landmines. Just hit confirm, choose 16, and then we can get started here with the game. I can talk about the game and Trap Chess in general. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking about it. So I started working on Trap Chess. I believe it was 2022 I had the idea, and I filed for a a provisional patent application in, I think it was November of 2022, and that was around the wooden version of the game. And I discussed the different things it does to fix problems that I noticed with the game of chess. So, for example, when I was teaching chess to children, I taught 1st through 3rd graders and 4th and 5th graders. It was a program where I teach the 1st through 3rd graders, then they would go swimming, and then the 4th and 5th graders would come. It was called the Chess and Swim program. When I was teaching that, I noticed that a lot of children got discouraged as they were learning, because chess is a game where you either win or you lose, and there's no in between. So it feels good to win, it feels bad to lose. So I thought, chess is a great game. If you go to Google Scholar and you search like chess and research, you can pull up so many articles that talk about how chess can help teach creativity, help teach pattern recognition, help ward off dementia, help fight Alzheimer's, and just because it's a brain game that makes you think. So just learning it helps people hands down, according to what the research says. So I thought, it would be great if more people learn chess. Currently, as of the statistics I know, 47% of people in the United States know how to play chess, and about 1 to 3% of them play daily. That leaves 53% of people in the United States that don't know how to play at all. And having those barriers to entry where people are learning and they just get destroyed by someone who's much more experienced makes it difficult to really keep up with the game and learn it, to take advantage of all those health benefits to learning and playing this game. So my thought process was, well, what if I make it more fun? So I looked at it and I thought, and I was like, a lot of people have done variants where they make new types of chess pieces, or they make a new type of board. So you've seen the ones where they stack the boards vertically, or and then you can move like vertically. That's like a version of chess. You have versions where people lay the pieces differently, like you do with Fisher Random. And then you have people that just make brand new pieces. Like I believe there's a Nordic version of chess that has different types of pieces. Then there's like different ways to play. Like I think there's a version where when you land on a square, it explodes all the pieces around it, so it removes pieces around where you take a piece. So and then there's Bug House, where you play with partners. And you use different colors. There's different ways. And so I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I don't see a lot of people really just taking the core game and doing something with that and not changing the board or not changing the pieces in any way. And it brought me back to thinking about when I was younger and I was teaching it a lot. If you wanted to have an actual game balance with the game of chess, the only way to do it was for you to remove a piece from the stronger player. So it was very common for someone to be like, oh, I know how to play really well, so I'll just play without my queen. And then you'd play chess, but that's not chess anymore because you have a blank spot on the board where the queen used to go. So to put it into perspective, there's something called Scholar's Mate, where I'll just like tell you if I moved, let's say, this will be my first move for this game for whoever joins. If I move that pawn up and then I put my queen on f3, my bishop on c4, and then I move my queen up to f7, the bishop protects the queen, and that's checkmate. However, if you're playing without a queen, the king can just run to the d8 square where there's no piece there now. So it's not chess anymore because things have like changed. You have a spot to run. That spot wasn't open before. And in chess, you're not allowed to take your own piece. So I thought about it and I was like, what if I added a layer to the chessboard? So I came up with the idea to remove the chessboard squares. And when you remove the chessboard squares, you can swap them for traps to trick your opponent. And I was like, so what do these traps do? I wanted the mechanic to be simple so people that knew how to play chess could jump right in and understand it. So I thought the best thing to do is, in chess, you remove pieces from the board when you take a piece. Why doesn't the trap do the exact same thing? It wouldn't be that much of a jump for someone to play and understand that when they know how to play chess. So I did that, and then I came up with the idea for the chess pieces too. So the first board I built was actually it was all wood. It was like 4 layers deep. I built it with my friend in his garage, and it was 4 layers deep. And I came up with different traps, and I was trying doing traps that were layered. So I would have something called I called it at the time, not preference, but priority. I called it priority. So you would know what the priority is for, if you have layers, which trap do you look at first? And then I realized that was a little too complicated. So then it got slimmed down to 1 layer. And the 1 layer seemed to work the best. So with the 1 layer, you can only hide 1 trap per square. The app mimics that. But I do have a couple versions that have multiple layers, so you could hide multiple traps, because in the future I'll have additional traps that you can play with. But for the main game right now, I think this is a really solid improvement on chess. So I can talk about some of the other improvements actually, or just what this does for the game. So you have the 2 different types of traps. The one type you put behind the chess pieces are equipped to them, and then the type you put in the board. Now, they allow for an additional skill to be implemented in the game that didn't exist before, and that's bluffing. Chess is a game where all of the possibilities, anything you can do on the board, is readily available. You can see it if you see it, you know? So then it's just about, okay, do I see it? Can I see it in time, on time? You know, how quickly do I see it? Do I see enough moves into the future to know this is a good plan to checkmate my opponent, or to, you know, put myself in a winning position? That's how chess is designed. But now with those layers underneath the board and hidden in the pieces, there's an unknown that's added. So you could have a good move or think you're making a good move and then just lose a piece. You could take someone's knight with your queen and then lose your queen because the knight was equipped with a trap or that square was. So it changes things in a few ways. So first, you'll see a lot in chess where one player will take a piece on a square, then the other player takes back, and then they take back, etc. And it goes on until you don't have any more pieces to attack that square. Well, with trap chess, if I were to spend my move taking the piece, and then I hit a trap and I lose my piece taking that piece, it does a couple different things. One, my opponent doesn't have to spend their move taking me back in that situation. They can do whatever they want. My piece was already removed by a trap that didn't cost them their move. Two, when my piece lands there and it's removed by a trap, now that square is no longer blocked. It opens up what's known as an X-ray attack through that square. So in chess, there's different strategies. One of them is forks. Forks is where you're attacking more than one piece at once. Another one is X-ray attacks, and there's different types of X-ray attacks like skewers or pins. An X-ray attack is basically you're attacking through a square at another piece. So that square, the piece you're attacking through, the one on the other side, might be blocked. So I can give you an example just looking at the board. There's an X-ray attack going on right now, right off the bat with my rooks. My rook on h1 is X-ray attacking my opponent's pawn on h7. The moment my pawn on h2 isn't in the way, it opens up that attack straightforward. So let's say I move my pawn from h2 all the way up to h5, and my opponent has a pawn landmine there. My pawn will be removed, but it opens up my rook to come out immediately on the next turn. Now, that could be good for me or it could be bad. In chess, normally, when you open up an X-ray attack, you're moving a chess piece from a square to a new square. And the X-ray attack has opened up on the square the piece used to be on because it used to be there. Now it's not. Now things can attack through that square. But with trap chess, because of the trap activations, you can also open up X-ray attacks on squares that the pieces move to, which is a big difference. You know, it allows for more strategies, and you can also activate additional X-rays going in different directions. If you are aware or you think your opponent has a trap there, you might be able to set it up to work to your advantage, and sometimes it'll be your disadvantage. So, for example, if I move that pawn from h2 all the way up to h5, and we'll say my opponent's pawn on h7 isn't there. So I move my pawn from h4 to h5. There's no pawn on h7. I hit a trap. I spent my move losing my pawn and hitting a trap. Now it's my opponent's turn, and it would be bad for me because their rook on h8 has opened up that X-ray attack to come straight through and take my rook on h1, if that makes sense. So yeah, so if you'd like to join and play with me, please. The code is right there. It's 17TPXW. Cool. Does anyone have any questions so far? You don't have to be shy. So the hope for this is when I was doing viability to see if this product actually had a want, a desire, or a need in the chess space, I was doing events at different places. So I did an event at a game store. I did an event, few events at malls. I did them at fairs, street fairs, festivals, and I brought boards for people to play with, and people really liked it when they played. That's why I made the app. To launch a Kickstarter, you have to be able to order there's a minimum order quantity whenever you make a product. And in order to hit that, I needed more people signed up. And I noticed that people really liked it when they played, but it was difficult to market and explain Trap Chest to people through like 2 sentences or quick enough for them to want to click it to check it out. So the app is the solution to that. It lets you play pretty easily, and that's just a fix to a problem I noticed. So when I was doing the events, people would play, and I only had the wooden versions of the game, which were a lot more expensive. My manufacturing partners are the Amish, and they like it. They like the game. We haven't played yet. I have to teach him, my partner, how to play still. But they had a minimum order quantity, and if I did that minimum order quantity, they could guarantee a price that I could sell it at that would make it a viable business. And I wasn't able to get that because the price of wood is too expensive, and you know, I had that problem where people have to try it to like it. And so because I didn't hit that, I was like, what do I do? So people were playing it, but I had on multiple occasions people offer me hundreds of dollars to just buy the wooden version after they played it. And it was, I was like, really? Okay, you know. So that's where I saw the solution to the problem was. So that's why the app exists, and I hope to get as many downloads as possible so people can really see how much fun it is. Last week, I had a goal. So this is the second time I'm streaming, and last week my goal was to have a stranger play with me, or someone that you know, I didn't text and tell I was streaming to, and someone came in that I had met previously. And they played a game with me, and it was great. Even though they're not a big chess person, they seem to enjoy it. So even if you're not a chess person, totally play a game with me. I can explain what's going on. I can teach. I'm completely okay with that. Whatever you would like. So here, I actually have the board game with me. It's one of the latest versions I've received, one of the latest prototypes. Generally, when you're making any type of project or working on any project, you come across problems you didn't know existed. So you always have to find solutions. So prototyping is one of those things that can have a lot of different problems along the way. So here, I'll start with the board. I'll show you the latest version of the board, and I'll explain why it looks this way. So this is the board. As you can see, it has the coordinates on it like a normal chessboard would. And it's listed this way because normally in chess you have alternating colors for each square, but this one isn't built like that. Oops. It's hard to hold it up for the camera, so I'll just do a part of it. Yeah. So this one isn't built that way. One side is white, the other side is black. That's because all of the chessboard squares are either white or black. And then you can see that on the edges, that's where you can see the color of the square. It's designed this way because you cover each square with a chessboard square or a landmine, and when you cover them, you can't see the color of the square. So by having it on the edge, it makes it easier, and you can see it. Because one of the main problems people have when they're playing or learning how to play is and they're younger, is following the route of the bishop or the queen going diagonal. That's what I've noticed. So it's really important to keep those colors, because if you have a bishop starting on a light colored square, it stays on that color square for the entire game. Bishops that go diagonal, any type of diagonal movement doesn't change the color you're on. So bishops only go diagonal. You have one for the light color square, and you have one for the dark color square. You can see I have one F1 and C1. So that's why it was important to keep those colors. I also have the coordinates around the board. So some people learn through the coordinate system. Other people recognize the patterns and they go, okay, I know where that is because I recognize that square. It's 2 up, 1 over. But having the coordinates helps you kind of see, okay, I know I laid my trap on F4. I know I laid my trap on B2. So it helps that way. Also on the board, on the edges, I have the logo, the X Place logo. So this is kind of an homage. Let me see if I can show it right there. Yeah, right there. That's an homage to the wooden board. The wooden board originally had circles cut in the board at those spots where the divider would slide in with round pegs. Next, I'll show you a chess piece. So these aren't your typical chess pieces. This is a queen. So this is the side that your opponent will see. They'll be looking at this. It's as big as I could make it. And you'll notice that at the top, it's curved. The curve matches the curve on the standee. And then also at the top, the color of the curve matches the color of the piece. These colors are based on a color palette called the Okabe Ito color palette. It's designed for anyone that has color vision deficiencies, so they can tell the difference between any of the pieces based on the colors. This was done because when you're working with small pieces, sometimes it's hard to see it, but you can just fill in the color and it makes it easier. That's the side your opponent sees. This is the back side. So the back side has the chess piece up top, and then it has the logo right here. That's because you will slide a trap onto the standee and you have the logos touch. I'll show you an example of that. Okay, here are chess piece traps. These are the traps that get equipped to the chess pieces. So I'll pull one out. There you go. I pulled out a bomb pawn. So if I equip this to a chess piece and they take that piece with a pawn, they lose their pawn. So this is how you, this is the one side. This is the other side with the logo, like I said. So you make the logos touch. And it's hard to do it backwards. You make them touch, you slide it onto the piece, and there you go. Now you can see, because you're going to be viewing this side, you can see what chess piece it is and what trap is equipped. I also have placeholder traps. Those are just blank. So that way you can put something on every chess piece. Because if you're setting up and you don't have a divider to give you privacy during setup, your opponent can see when you're sliding something onto every piece. So I have these blanks. See? Cool. If you just joined and you'd like to play a game, download the Trap Chess app on trapchess.com, and the code is right there, 17TPXW, and you can try it out. So that's how the chess pieces work with the traps. Like I said earlier, chess piece traps are not in the app version. Only the landmines are. Next, I'll show you the landmines. So here are landmines. So these are the blanks. These are just blank chessboard squares. One side has the logo. The other side has nothing on it. Those are the blanks. So anywhere you don't have a landmine, you'll be filling up the board with those blanks. And based on the game mode you play or the rules you decide, you would check that square when you land on it. You can check, you can't check your squares. You just have to remember. Part of chess, when you get really good, is memorization. You look at older games, you see how people played them, and then you know, like, oh, if they do this, I should do this for openings. But the memorization in trap chess, you could do that as well, but it doesn't help you much when a trap activates because you have a brand new board position immediately. So then you can't analyze, like analyzing older games doesn't really help you when you have a brand new position that didn't exist before, because now you just have to use critical thinking anyway. So trap chess moves you more towards critical thinking and further away from that memorization, with the exception of remembering where you hide your landmines. So these are the blanks, and then these are the landmines. They look just like the chess piece traps. There's one for every piece, plus the extra one for the queen, because everyone wants an extra opportunity to take out their opponent's strongest piece. And those get hidden on the board. They're the exact same size of each chessboard square. So it makes it really easy to just slide it on the board. Now you might be thinking, how do I pick up the chessboard squares? They're thin. I don't have nails for that. Well, the game will also come with 2 darts. And the darts are great because you can put down a chessboard square. So if I put it down, I can just push down on the dart and pick it right up. So that's a really easy way to check the squares without damaging the pieces. The darts are just like regular like Nerf darts, but and then when you want to let go of the chest, the square, you just squeeze. So I don't know if you can see my fingers. You squeeze right on the tip, and it pops right off. That way you don't damage your pieces. Your game stays good for a long time. If you push too hard with the darts, they might take some damage. So I have another thing I'm offering where it's like replacement darts when I launch the Kickstarter campaign. That's like a thing you can purchase. I kind of see these as being used in like toy guns, like people use their Nerf guns, you know, and they shoot these with the rubber tips. And I see them being used as that. And then like if I were a kid, I'd be like, all right, I got all the blue ones. I got all the orange ones, but each one of us gets one black or one white dart. And if you hit the other person with a dart 3 times, you win. Or if you hit them with just that dart once, you win. So it's kind of like if you've ever played GoldenEye on Nintendo 64. It's kind of like having the golden gun. So that's pretty much the board itself. I'm here if you have any questions. And still, if you'd like to play, I have a game up. The code is 17TPXW, and you can play with me live. No one will know who you are. Like I said, you don't need to put in any personal data. I don't pull your name, your address, your email, your phone number, any of that from your phone when you download the app. It only does the bare minimum of what it needs to run. Plus, it stores game data so that I can use the game data in the future for things like a computer to play against, deciding the best placements of traps. I'm curious about it personally as someone that likes research, because when you think about it, chess itself has a meta. People will pick to play things a certain way. You know, they'll be like, okay, when you do this, I should do this. And then you'll see the meta change over time because people find little tricks or little changes that they can make that benefit them from openings. And there's that meta, and I think it's kind of cool. So I want to see if the meta changes also for laying traps, for moves people make to avoid traps, because currently the game is set up where you can only lose a piece when you cross over to the other side of the board. So I'm really interested in that. So that's why I'm storing game data. I also store push notification fails. So I know if a push notification fails to go through. That way I can debug it and find out why, because it's really important you get a notification when it's your turn when playing this. Otherwise, you might miss your move and then you time out. And you maybe had a good game going and you really wanted to finish it, and now you can't because you ran out of time because you didn't get your notification. I also store information on the device you're using, once again for debugging, because if, let's say, a Samsung S72, I don't know what number they're up to, is, I know it's like 24, but let's say you have an S72 and you're getting push notification problems, I'll be able to see, okay, only the S72 is getting those problems, so I can try to implement a fix to fix that in the code specifically for that device. So that's the data that's recorded. The future version of the app will definitely have a login and a sign up where you can make an account, and I hope to have it so that when I make that, people can store and play multiple games at once, so you can be playing with your friends. Right now, you can only have one game active at a time with the app. It's designed that way because, one, I haven't done much with apps in a while, and I wanted to make sure it could scale slow enough that I can keep up, because I'm just one guy, you know, and there's a lot of things I'm doing, and I wanted to make sure it's good to scale. Two, there's a limit to how many play codes you can generate. It's in the millions or the tens of millions because it's a 6-digit play code, but I also removed all vowels. I was getting codes that that didn't look good. Like they were spelling words that weren't the best words to spell. So I removed all vowels in the hopes of eliminating that. And I removed vowels, and I think the number 0, because 0 could be seen as an O. That's why you'll see all codes now are just numbers, letters, no vowels, no 0. It's designed that way on purpose to keep it as friendly for whoever downloads it as possible. Yeah. So if you just joined, please take a look. Trapchess.com. You can download the app for iPhone or Android, and you can play a game with me right now live. No one will know. No one will judge you based on your play style. or how you play. If you're brand new, we can talk out moves. I'll talk about what's happening on the board and thought processes and point out things I see. So yeah, just let me know if you'd like to play. As soon as you download the app and enter the code, it'll pop up that you joined, and you'll hear like a boom. That's how you know another player has joined. It's the same sound you hear when a move is made. Ah, tastes so good. I love water. Water is my favorite drink, I think. People say that water doesn't have a taste. I've heard people say that, and I disagree. Have you ever just felt really thirsty and you have some water and it's just the best thing ever? It just tastes amazing. Yeah, that's how I feel. And water in general is just top drink. Followed by tea. I used to drink a lot of soda, but I've come off that. I don't really have sugar as much anymore. Oh, it looks like someone has joined and they chose 16 landmines. Thank you for joining. So, yep, it's your turn. If you're trying to figure out the layout of the board, if you scroll down, you can see what takes what. And then you have this toggle here for hide and show landmines. And then, oops, excuse me, sorry about that. And then down here, you have what every one of them does. So, all right, perfect. And we'll try to keep pace going. So that's a very normal opening. A move that people make in response that's pretty common is they go queen from D1 to H5. I'm not going to do that, but the thought process on that is hopefully your opponent goes to G6 to push your queen away. Then you take the pawn on E5 and you fork their king. You check their king while attacking their rook on an angle on H8. That's the idea behind it. But with traps on the other side of the board, I like to hold back on my queen until later, because it would be terrible if I lost my queen on the second move of the game, which is possible in trap chess, but not possible in regular chess. So thank you for joining too. And yep, you have 16 landmines. And if you look, the timer had been ticking down since I created this game. I think it was down to like 11 hours and 40 minutes for black, but it's jumped up back to the 12 hours. That's something that was coded in. So if you send someone a play code and they don't see it for 4 hours, they would lose 4 hours on their timer if you made a move. But as soon as they join, it sets their timer back to 12 hours. So they get the full amount of time. But if they don't join in 12 hours, the game ends. Okay. That's typically a move made to bring out the rook from A8 to A6. I don't have to worry about it much because I have my bishop here on F1 attacking the F6 square, or the A6 square. Bishops are only worth 3 points and rooks are worth 5. So me taking the rook if they try to run would be come out would be a great move for me. Okay, next I'll just move my pawn up. I'm opening up my bishop to come out on B2 so I can get that full diagonal because the E5 pawn is not protected. Yeah, I like to have the full diagonal with my bishop open. I like having it specifically where it's attacking my opponent's pieces. If I'm blocked by my own pieces, it can be a little more troublesome. So let's say I had my bishop on F2. I'm blocked by my pawn on E4. And my pawn can't move because of the pawn on E5. So it's just kind of sitting there. I don't think it really helps me much. If you've just joined, we're playing trap chess. Trap chess is a version of chess where you have hidden traps in the board that can remove your opponent's pieces. So I'm playing more to demonstrate trap chess. Normally, I would take that rook out. Rooks are generally meant for late game because of how they move, and they're restricted when there's a lot of pieces on the board. I'm not going to attack the rook. Instead, I'm just going to keep going with that bishop and the plan I had earlier. I think most people, if you're experienced in chess, you may take that rook with your bishop, F1 to A6. It definitely is a good move to make because you get an early advantage on points. But, you know, I'm playing more to teach, not to like win. I think that's an important differentiator. I notice too when I'm playing a lot to teach, my game in chess to win drops. And it's because you're looking at the board differently. You look at the board for ways to find teaching moments, ways to set things up to show your opponents or your opponent or your student something new. You're not looking for a way to destroy them. It doesn't make any sense. So, all right, I'm going to go... I'll just move my pawn up. I'll protect my pawn. I'll go to h3. Then I can move my pawn again to g4. Then I can move it up to push the knight away. The knight won't be able to go to g4. It won't be able to go to f5 without being taken. So the only spot it can go is to retreat if I'm able to execute that plan. All right. The rook moved over, but the rook can't do much because if it comes forward and tries to take my pawn is double protected by c2 and a2, protecting the b3 square. So I'll go up 2 with that pawn, and we'll keep that that strategy going. If you're making moves that make your opponent move their pieces out of the way, that's to your benefit because you're essentially making them waste moves while you progress forward towards their side of the board. Now, when I move to g5, I really hope there's not a trap there. If there's a pawn landmine there, I'll immediately lose my pawn, and there goes my strategy. So, okay. I'm going to try that now. Is there... Nope. Okay, we're safe. So now, my pawn on g5 is attacking the pawn on h6. Sorry, my pawn on g5 is attacking the knight on h6. The only square the knight can move to where it's still safe is g8, back to its starting square. F5, it'll get taken by my pawn on e4, and g4, it'll get taken by my pawn on h3. So, oh wow. Let's see what my opponent decides to do here. One of the things you'll notice on the board too, if I hide my landmines, the square you move to and the square you move from are both highlighted. You can see it here where the g4 and the g5 squares both have a highlighted area. That helps you see what the last move was. So that'll help you see what the last move is, because you can see that, you know, when you're playing, there's a 12-hour timer. If you come back in, you might not remember what the board looked like. All right, my turn. I'm going to go there and protect that pawn. It's kind of just a sitting duck. They could have taken it with their queen on G, you know, taking it on G5, moving their queen out, but they opted not to. Now I'll just protect it so their queen can't come in and take it, because if they do, my pawn will take them back. All right, let's see what my opponent is going to do next. I'm just kind of looking at the board and figuring out some of the possibilities. That move looks like they want to move their pawn to b4 and threaten my knight. My knight has a lot of squares it can move to where it would be safe, so I'm not too concerned about that. My knight could actually take the pawn on b5 right now. So I think I'll do that. I'll take the pawn, and I'll hope that there's not a knight landmine. And there's a knight landmine. There goes my knight. So that's the cool part about trap chess. You can hit traps and just lose a piece. And now I'm behind in this game because I hit that trap. I spent my move taking their pawn, so I got 1 point for it. But then the landmine removed my knight, so I lost 3 points. That's a 2-point gain for my opponent. And also, that pawn wasn't protected by anything. So if that landmine wasn't there, I would have just gotten a free point from them, but that's not the case anymore. All right, so let's see what my opponent's going to do. That must feel good to have me hit a landmine that early. You know, talking a lot makes you dehydrated. All right. So they move their pawn to g6. I'm going to come straight through with that bishop like I was planning earlier and hope I don't hit a bishop landmine. I did not, so now their rook is in danger on h8. So they have a lot of ways to fix it, but because I have my pawn over on g5, it's also attacking the f6 square. So they put something on f6 to block, which is the only square they can really put something that's effective. They could do bishop to g7, but then I would just take it, and then their rook is still in danger, so they're just giving me a free piece. So they could do a pawn up, but then I have my bishop and my pawn, so I could take it. Okay. They opted to attack the bishop with their rook. Okay. I'm going to protect my bishop. Instead of taking the rook, I'll just apply pressure on their rook with my pawn, and I'll protect my bishop with my pawn. So moving the pawn there has two different benefits. One is to attack the rook on c5. The other is to protect the bishop on e5. It also gives me the option later I have the center controlled now with both of my pawns. If you look, they're attacking c5, d5, e5, and f5, which is great. I can protect them later with like my knight, or I can move a pawn up and have the other pawn protected, pending there's no landmine. If there's a landmine there, you know, the pawn's gone. It's just gone. So we'll see what happens next. Let's see. Interesting. Okay. So they move forward with their rook. I didn't have anything there, did I? No. I didn't think I had a piece there. Okay. I think the best move is just to take their rook. Yeah, I'll just take the rook. And hope there's not a landmine. And we're good. It usually takes about a second for a landmine to activate. So if you don't get an activation within a second, you're safe generally. There are things that happen in the back end to make sure the move goes through to your opponent, that it sees the landmine properly. You have things like that. So I haven't had a bug yet where you make a move and it was a landmine and it doesn't activate. So if you do play and you get something like that, please let me know and I can look into it and try to fix it. But that hasn't existed yet. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of a tricky move here. If I move my pawn up, it unlocks an X-ray attack from the bishop on h8. So the bishop on h8 is currently attacking g7, f6, e5, and then it gets stopped at d4. If I move the pawn up, it's not stopped anymore, and then also c3 is under attack by the bishop. So it's kind of a misleading move because they're looking at the move for the pawn, and they might not be focusing on the bishop on h8 because they don't see that it's now open to take that rook, if that makes sense. Cool. Let's see what's next. So if you're watching, look out. Your rook is under attack. c3. It's being attacked by the bishop on h8. And thanks for playing with me. It means a lot to have someone play with me. I don't know who is playing with me, but it means a lot. Thank you. I have some friends that will play with me, and then they'll message me as they're playing with me. Oh, I see. So you took the pawn. Okay. So I could take the rook back with my pawn on f2, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to initiate what's known as a pin. A pin is where one piece can't move, because if it moves, a stronger piece will be taken in its place. So here, I'm pinning the... Oh, I'm not pinning. I hit a bishop landmine and my bishop is gone. All right. It's not good for me. But that's the game. And the cool part is there's a move log. So you can actually see in the move log the activation. So chess has its own notation. And here we got bishop moves to f6, bishop landmine. That's what that notation means. And on move 9, you can see knight takes on b5, knight landmine. And then on the left side are all of white's moves. On the right side are all of black's moves. So you instantly know which side lost the piece. Cool. It's nice to hit a landmine every now and then. That tells me that the app is working properly. Earlier, if my opponent had done like a block on the f6 square with like their pawn or their knight, eventually my bishop would have moved there and it would have been taken. And that would have saved the rook as well. All right. Let's see. Should I do en passant? If you don't know, en passant in chess is one of the weird moves. There's only two. There's castling and en passant. So if I tap this pawn, you can see it could actually go and take the pawn on h5. It's one of the weird moves in chess. I don't think I'm going to do it, though. I'm going to put my knight there. I could have taken the rook on g3, but instead I'll put my knight there to attack it. I think that's better. Well, it's not better, but I'm playing someone who I can tell has less experience than me in chess, which is okay. I've played a lot. I used to play a lot of chess. I don't play as much now, but they moved their rook out of the way and they hit a rook landmine though. So that worked out for me. The landmines are cool. They do a lot. So okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to move that knight through and we're going to keep pushing it. I want to continue to move my pieces forward. Inherently, because of the design of the app, to win chess, you have to go to the other side. There's no getting around it. You have to go to where your opponent's king is to checkmate it. So players that are more experienced are going to try to push faster and go to that side quicker. That's just normal. They're going to try to win, which introduces more risk for them because of the landmines. So beginner players generally, they pull back and they're more reserved as they play. So the way the landmines are set up actually works better in a beginner's favor than it does for an experienced player. That is to say, unless the experienced player plays specifically around the landmines or they get better with it. But that's what's cool though. You can just do different quantities though. So if an experienced player is playing you and they have one landmine and you're a beginner and you have 16, just play defensively. They have to come to your side eventually and try to set things up and focus on learning. You know, that's the most important part. Because if you're new, you're still learning how the pieces move. It's not fair for someone to just rip you apart because they've played 1,000 games. So here I see that the bishop is targeting my rook on a1. So we're just going to move it out of the way. I don't want to lose my rook. If I lose it, I want to lose it to a landmine. My rook is going down the way I want my rook to go down. Oh. All right, let's see. Oh, that's a check. So you get to see what happens with the check now. So there's a little, the player that checks will get like a 1 second, I think it's 1.1 seconds of a pulse and a vibration on their phone. But then the player that's checked gets that little pulse and vibration every time. You'll see the king gets that little like pink around it. Pink is the color for the king. So all right, we're just gonna move the king out of the way. I don't mind moving my king. Moving my king means I can't castle, but I'm totally okay with that. Castling is great, but I don't castle as much as other people I play, I've noticed. I generally will just kind of keep my king there and I'm like, he's fine. He ate a lot, you know, he's not moving. He's full of food. Who wants to move when you're full of food? Nobody. You just want to lay there. So I just let my king just lay there and do whatever. All right, let's see. Pawn moved up. Okay. 1 sec. Okay. That just blocks my pawn from going any further. All right. We're going to bring my queen into the action. On this square, my queen is safe from my opponent's bishop. A queen on a light colored square can never be under attack, or a piece on a light colored square can never be under attack by a dark squared bishop, because a bishop never leaves the color that it starts on. We'll see what happens with that move. So my queen is now attacking or threatening the bishop on c3. It's basically saying, give me your milk money. And then the bishop said, no, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take my milk money with me. And maybe I'll get a chocolate milk. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with the bishop's milk money. All right. I do have a move here I can make. I'm thinking I could check on b5. So that would be a fork. My queen, if my queen's on b5, it would be targeting the knight on b8, as well as the king on e8. So the only move they can really make to save the knight would be to put it on d7. And then I can get the free pawn on a5. But I am wary of the landmines. I could hit a landmine during this plan and just lose it. So I have a different plan, actually. We're going to run this pawn up. And if the pawn gets taken by a landmine, great. If not, great. But running it up will let my rook on the b1 square basically push up on the b file, so it can go all the way straight through. So if they don't take my pawn, I'll take their pawn. If they move their pawn forward, I have a landmine that will eliminate it, and I can just keep pushing that pawn up until it gets to the point where they have to deal with it, or I hit a landmine. And both are okay, because hitting the landmine will open up the X-ray attack from my rook on b1. Sometimes if you're planning ahead for the landmines, they can work to your advantage, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to plan ahead for the landmines. Also, if I hit a landmine with the pawn, pawns make good scouts. So if I hit a landmine with my pawn, I know there's only one landmine per square. So it'll be a safe square for any of my pieces because the landmine has been removed. It's activated. So I try to keep that information up here and use it later in the game to my advantage. All right, let's see how my opponent responds. I'm having a good time playing with you, whoever you are. So thank you for playing with me. Okay. Knight comes down. I can take it with my pawn. I think I'm going to take it. I think that's better. Yeah. All right. Sorry. I'm going to take the knight. Hope I don't hit a landmine. You can take me back if you want. You have your bishop. You have your pawn. Both are fine to take me back. The bishop will threaten my queen if you take it with a bishop. Okay. I'm going to go and stick to my current plan to bring that rook through. So I'll take that pawn. It opens up the X-ray attack for my rook on b1. Now it's targeting the knight on b8. All right, there goes my knight. Totally fine. Cool. We'll come down with the rook. Just like I planned. Now, they do have... I was looking, and it's not a threat, but it is interesting to mention this. The bishop on c8, if it went to a6, it pins my queen. My queen can't move out of the way because my king would be taken. However, that bishop wouldn't have any protection, so my queen could just take it. Also, if they did that, they'd be opening up a pin on their queen, where my rook is targeting their queen and they can't move it out of the way because their king would be taken. So if they did that, I would go rook to d8, take the queen, check, they'd take me back with their king, and then I'd go for their bishop on the a6 square. So just wanted to mention that. I don't think it's a good move, but it's cool to see a move unlock two pins in one shot. Let's see. Trying to figure out the next move here. So, and if you just joined us, welcome. We're playing a game of trap chess. If you'd like to get in on the next game, you can download the app at trapchess.com. And on the bottom of the page, it says iPhone or Android. Click the link that corresponds to you, and then you can just enter the play code I put in chat for the next game and join. Let's see. What's my opponent going to do? I wonder if they're watching. If they're watching, they can see the locations of all of my traps. I can't see theirs, though. Let's see. I think my next move, maybe I'll make my king a weapon, and I'll put my king to f3 to target the bishop on f4. That'll also open up my bishop to come out if I move my queen out of the way. Okay. Interesting. Alright. I'm going to move my king. My king's just going to go for that bishop anyway. My weapon of choice is my king. The king does not have a landmine that removes it. When you play chess and you think about it, the only piece that never leaves the board during a game is the king. Because the game is over when the king is in danger and can't be saved. It's never actually taken and removed from the board. So it wouldn't make sense to have a trap that removes the king, because that doesn't happen in regular chess. That's not to say I don't have plans for traps in the future for the king, but currently there's no trap for the king. So you could always use your king and move him through and use him to scout when you're playing on the board game. And they hit a landmine. They hit a bishop landmine and lost the bishop. So that worked out pretty well. My king didn't have to chase them to the ends of the earth. All right. I want to keep my queen on my side of the board because it's safer than moving to their side. If I go to their side, I risk losing my queen to a landmine. So we're going to go here and check. Yeah. So when there's a check, you can see the pink exclamation point in the timer bar of the player who's in check. That's also another indication of check. All right, let's see. I'm going to go bishop there. So the reason I did that is the bishop is currently pinned. Their bishop on c8. If they move that bishop out of the way, their queen will be taken by the rook on b8. So by applying extra pressure on that bishop, I now have two attackers on the c8 square. My bishop on a6 and my rook on b8. Having two attackers when your opponent on one square when your opponent only has one defender, i.e. their queen on d8, means that I would win the square if we did the you take, I take, you take, I take, if we played that out the entire time. So I set that up there, extra attack. They can't move the bishop. If they move the bishop, the queen is taken. If they don't move the bishop is gone. And it'll be a check from the rook. So it's a good way to move towards checkmating. I'm slowly moving towards ending the game. But I am having a lot of fun. I hope the person playing had a good time too, and is continuing to have a good time, because the traps do make it interesting. We both have lost 2 pieces to traps so far. Let's see what the next move is. You know, in chess, my favorite piece is the knight. The knight's really cool. It's the only piece that moves differently than the other pieces, and the only one that can jump other pieces. So I see it as a really great piece for the beginning of the game. And I love having a piece that can hop around the board in the beginning of the game, because there's certain spots where you'll look at your opponent and you're like, all right, there's a hole in that defense. I just get a knight right there, I'm good. And it's so sweet when you have that knight just in the center attacking 8 different squares, and it's just a pain in the butt to deal with. Let's see. Okay, they moved their queen up 1. So I'm going to follow through with my plan and use my rook to take the bishop. This will be a check, and I hope there's not a rook landmine. Okay, there's no rook landmine. We're safe. So the rook is attacking the king. That's check. The queen, if it takes the rook, gets taken by the bishop. So let's see. I think I have a strategy here to move towards checkmate. I think. I could always hit a landmine. That's always a possibility. Okay. Yep. The next thing I'm going to do is bring my queen in and start to go for checkmate. Yeah, talking a lot is just dehydrating. It's a hot day where I am too. I don't know if you can tell I'm sweating. And then in my room I have like the bright lights, so it's a little hot, but I feel like that really gets... It's also hot because I'm doing so much thinking. So you can see the sweat is from the heat of my head with all the thinking going on. All right, let's see. I'm going to do... Let's bring my rook in. If we line up the rook and the queen both on the e-file, the queen can just pick a square and go. So I think that's a good way to work towards a checkmate. You know, I feel like one day, like someone that's just a grandmaster is going to join and play and just kick my butt. And I really hope a grandmaster plays. That would be so cool to have someone who's hit the pinnacle of chess join and play the game I made. I would be ecstatic to lose. I like losing because it means I can learn something. So here we go. Check. We're coming. I hope there's no queen landmines on that side. If there is, I did my best. All right. Take it. Okay, no queen landmine. It's only one square. Move to. I don't want to move my queen if I don't have to. I do not want to move the queen. I know that square is actually safe. I forgot. That's where I lost my bishop earlier. So it is a safe square for my queen, so I feel okay keeping it there. But yeah, I don't want to take too many chances with my queen right now. So I think what I'll do is bishop next. Okay, and then rook comes down, and then that should be it. Yep. Great game. It was good playing you. Thank you for playing and checking it out. So now that the game's over, you get to see what happens when the game ends. It shows the locations of all of the traps. So, oh, if I went to the corner with my queen, I would have lost her on h8. And then the other one was on b6, so I was okay there. The rook ones were on c5 and g5. So my rook was never really in danger, which is cool. And then look at that pawn wall. On the 7 rank, it's just all pawns, like pawn bombs. I would like, how can you even get a piece promoted going through? You can't. You can't. So, okay. Thanks for playing. That was a lot of fun. Good game. I'll put up another play code. So here's the new play code. I'm going to put it in chat. If you'd like to play, feel free to join. I think it's, and I'll confirm 16. MT168T. That's the new code. Please feel free to join. We have a few people watching, so if anyone watching wants to join, totally get in and we'll play a game. I had a lot of fun playing, so thank you again for whoever played with me. You rock, and I'm going to make a move and get the timer started on my opponent, and I'll show all my landmines. Oh, someone joined right away. Thank you. Let's keep going. Let's keep this party going. All right. And if you have any questions or want feedback, feel free to ask anything in the chat. This is a safe space where there's no judgment. Yeah, no judgment. The most amount of learning in any activity you do happens in the beginning. That's just normal. So if you're not someone that plays this game a lot, you're learning the most right now. So, and I think it's terrible to knock someone for learning something new. You should never knock someone down or make fun of them for learning something new. That's a wonderful thing. Everyone always has. There's always something that people learn people learn things for the first time every day that may have been considered common knowledge for others. And making fun of someone makes them not really want to continue to learn. Why would they want to continue if they're having a negative experience with something like learning? So there I move my pawn up to d4. It opens up my bishop on c1 to take the pawn on g5. So you can see the diagonal there. So a good way to protect against it is to defend the pawn, to move the pawn up. However, you can see that I do have pawn landmines on f4, g4, and h4. So moving the pawn up will just lead to it being taken. Okay, so you're going bishop there, targeting the d4 square. Okay. I will protect it with my knight. And then there's no way you can apply pressure on the knight with your pawn because of the pawn landmine on g4, so I know I'm safe there. Let's see. Interesting. I'm just giving some thought. I never know the skill level of the players I'm playing against. So I have to like figure that out as I play. If I'm like, okay, should I attack or should I hold back? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take that pawn on g5 and pray there's not a landmine there. There's a pawn landmine there, goodbye, or a bishop landmine, goodbye bishop. Okay, good. Bishop is safe. Look at that. Safe, safe, safe. There's this thing in trap chess called safety squares. That's where you put a piece on a square that has a landmine. So then you know you're safe to that type of piece taking you. So for example, if I put a knight on a square that has a blue landmine on it, I know if a queen, my opponent's queen, lands on that square, they'll lose their queen. So even if I'm not protecting my knight with another piece, if their queen can take the knight and it looks free, it's not. I have a safety square there. I know that I have the protection from the landmine itself rather than my chess pieces. So I don't really have to worry. Oh, also I want to show you guys my shirt. It's Pac-Man, but Starry Night style. I thought it was a really cool shirt that I wanted to wear on stream. When I go, there's a couple restaurants in town I go to, and they know me as like the shirt guy because I'm always wearing like a different t-shirt. And I'm a big fan of shirts. It's one of the things I generally will spend money on when I see a really cool shirt. All right, let's see. So the knight is there. I could take the knight with my knight. They're on my half of the board, so there's no landmines to worry about if I take the knight. Okay. I will take it. Let's see. On the one side, they do have the ability to castle now, but they don't have a lot of protection. If you're playing against me, in the game of chess, just in general, it's a good idea to get your other pieces advanced or moved early, like your bishops, your knights, and some of your pawns. Doing that early gives you more options for the rest of the game because now you have more squares you can hit. If you put a piece in the corner of the chessboard, it's weak. It's the weakest. But if you put a piece in the center of the board, it can hit a lot more squares. So I'll give you an example. A knight in the corner can only go to 2 squares. So a knight on like h1 can only hit g3 and f2. You put a knight on the side of the board, it can hit up to 4 squares. So if I put it on h4, it can hit g6, f5, f3, and g2. If you put it in the center, it can hit a total of 8 squares, so it's much stronger, and the same can be said for all the chess pieces. All right, so you took my pawn. The player I'm playing against, I think they're a similar skill level to the player I just played. So I'm gonna pull back a little bit. Just know that I think it's important to just, before you make a move, look at what's around there. So I could have taken the bishop with my queen from d1 to d4, or I could have taken it with my knight on f3. However, I don't want to just take. I want to just keep the game going. And if this person is a new player, the longer they play, the easier it is for them to learn, and the more they can learn. And I think that's wonderful. Just putting in that play code and playing with me is amazing. I'm having a really good time. So thank you again. So if you're just joining us, this is a trap chess. Trap chess is a game of chess that has traps hidden in the board. I have the locations of all of my traps being shown. I'm going to not let you take my rook, and I will attack your bishop back with my rook. This is what takes what. So I'm playing white currently. And because I'm playing white, you want to look at the right-hand column. All of my pieces will remove black pieces. So you see the top one removes pawns, orange removes knights, yellow bishops, green rooks, and blue is queens. So then with that information, you can go here. I'll hide the pieces so you can see. So the ones to remove queens are on F1, G1. The ones I have to remove pawns are E1. E1 won't work because of how promotions work in the app. But we got E1, F2, G3, H4, F4, and then B3, B4. There's 8 of them because there's 8 pawns. And then for rooks, we got C3, E2. Bishops, we got C2, F3. And knights, we have D1 and H3. No landmines have activated yet. So, okay. So it's still an early game. I'm going to go... I want to bring my knights into the action more. So we'll go there. Wow. So someone just messaged me that I picked up 2 subscribers during the stream. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the support. I've been working on this now for about 4 years, and that's 4 years of my life I won't get back. And not one moment have I regretted it. I really believe this is a great game that can help people by teaching them like strong creative thinking, critical thinking skills, and creative problem solving skills. So and it makes it easier to learn chess in general, I believe. So I'm really happy that people are seeing it and liking it. So really just, it means a lot. Thank you. All right, so here I move my knight to h4. I'm really just trying to get my knights together. The bishop on b2 is still under attack by my rook on b1. So I could take that next turn if they don't save it. But like I said, I think learning is just wonderful. So I'm not gonna push it too hard. Last week when I played, I did make a couple mistakes when playing, and I lost a game, which happens. You know, it's a lot to. There's a lot going on that I'm trying to focus on, but I really, when I'm playing games that are going really deep, I want to give them a lot more attention. Now I'll need to get a water refill soon. Okay. Bishop move there. So that bishop on, I'm going to show you. I have a bishop on g5 that is targeting the bishop on c1, so I could take it. And I also have my rook on b1 targeting the bishop on c1. I wanted to bring up both of those so you can kind of see. It's good to be an offensive player. The best offense is, like a good offense is a good defense. Because if you're attacking your opponent, they have to deal with it. They can't attack you back. They're just focused on defending, which is great. But when you do those moves, it's important to make sure your pieces are also protected. So right now that bishop has nothing protecting it, so it is free for me to take if I wanted to take it. Instead, though, I'm going to do something else. So I'm going to threaten checkmate. Right now, I have my queen on the d4 square, and it's attacking or targeting the rook on the h8 square. If that rook is left alone and my queen goes there and there isn't a queen landmine there, that'll be checkmate. So use that information, take a look, and see what you can do to prevent it. There are moves you can make to block checkmate. Now, I do have additional moves to continue to apply pressure after that as well. Yeah, I can't believe it's so interesting to do like live streaming. This whole time I've been doing I started out with just doing videos with the wooden version of the board to like showcase how it works. And now I'm doing live streaming, and I it took a while to get to this point. I didn't want to do live streaming until there was an app out for me to actually play with people, because any other way I like figured it out to like play with people with the board game didn't make sense. I'd have to have like a setup looking down at my hands and down at the board, or like sideways looking at the board, and then I'd have to be moving my hands while also being on camera. I'd have to be making the moves that people tell me in chat. It didn't really work. So having the app allows me to do this, and it's just crazy to think I've come this far from just having like an idea. Everything just starts out as an idea, and then you work from there. Let's see. So yeah, take your time. Notice your biggest threat right now is the queen moving to the h8 square. That will be checkmate unless you have a blue landmine on that square. You can check by tapping hide and view my landmines. That's the only thing that would protect you if you don't do anything actively to save that rook. There's one move. There's two good moves. Yeah, there's two good moves you can make right now. Now, if you're a newer player, the person I'm playing against, I can tell, is a little bit of a newer player, which is totally fine. If you see a lot of my pieces are out on the board and they've been moved, this gives me a lot more options. So if we play again after this, try to spend your time moving pieces out earlier and not attacking with don't move the same piece twice. Move your pieces out earlier and try to move different pieces to give you more options in the game. Okay, so I want to go over the point values real quick. So they're not set in stone, the point values, but they do give you an idea of what beats what and what is a good trade versus what is a bad trade. Pawns are worth 1. They're the staple. So 1 pawn, 1 point. Then bishops and knights are both worth 3 points. So if you trade a bishop for a knight, it's considered generally a fair trade. But bishops are stronger endgame and knights are stronger early game because of just how they move. Rooks are on their own tier at 5 points. And then the queen is about 9 points. And then the king is the whole game, because if you lose it or you're checkmated, you lose the game. So my bishop is currently targeting the rook on the h6 square, which is a bit of a problem, because you have your bishop on c1 that can take me back, but if I take the rook, I get 5 points, and when you take me back, you only get 3. So then I collect 5 points, you collect 3. It's an advantage for me. So I'm going to do, let's see. Oh boy. All right, I won't take the rook, but I'll take the bishop. Excuse me. I'll take the bishop. But just know that rook is in danger as well. This happens in chess. When you don't bring out your pieces, your opponent can get an advantage by bringing out more of their pieces and getting more possibilities. Okay, so the knight came down. Okay, so if, the knight isn't posing a threat to me right now. But I do see some moves I can make. Okay. I'm going to go... Alright. I'm going to apply more pressure with my other knight. So now, that knight is attacking a few key squares. It's attacking the h6 square, the g7 square, and the e7 square. Thank you. I got a refill on water. Thank you. So the knight is attacking all of those squares. That's why it's so important to have knights that are closer to the center of the board. Having them closer to the center lets them hit all those squares. So you have options. You never know what your opponent's going to do, but if you have options, it makes it so that no matter what they do, you usually have a good counter move. So still, if I get a rook or a queen on your 8 file, 8 rank, on like h8 or g8, that's checkmate because your king doesn't have a place to run. But now that I'm bringing my knights closer and my bishop, a really strong combo in the game of chess is the knight-queen combo. And I have 2 knights and my queen together, which makes it even stronger. Because the queen can move like every piece except the knight. So when you bring a knight in there, the knight can kind of like hook around and hit a square the queen can't hit. And then the queen can land on that square. And I've seen a lot of checkmates that way with just a knight and queen. That's totally common. I'm thinking of bringing my queen in to the g7 square, but once I cross that threshold, there's a chance I could hit a trap and lose my queen. So I'm trying to plan properly. Does anyone have any questions about trap chess or the game? Sorry, before I started streaming, I had some spicy food, and it just... I'm okay. I like spicy food a lot, but it's not the best thing to have before you stream when you're going to be talking a lot, because now you have your throat is a little irritated from the spicy food, and then you're talking a lot and you dry it out. So that's why I told you, water is the best drink. And also, I love the color orange, so this is the best mug. Yeah, I actually made the knight. So on the Okabe Ito color palette that I based all of the pieces on for specifically so anyone with any type of vision can tell the difference between the colors. I made the knight orange because knights are my favorite piece, and orange is my favorite color. So that's also why someone gave me, they asked me why I made the queen blue and the king pink. That's also because when I was a kid, my grandmother told me to invent something, and I have 4 patents on like this way to play chess. Originally on the wooden version, but the stuff applies to this version because it's how it was constructed. So I have patents on it, and my grandmother told me to invent something. So I did it as I did it for her. Her favorite color was like a light blue. So I picked the blue that was the closest to that, and I made it the queen because she was so important in my life. And the queen, like, she didn't play chess, but I did ask her which piece she liked the design of the most, and she said the queen. And so I made the queen blue as kind of for her. And then I was left with pink, and I went, you know what? King can be pink. It's totally fine. You're able to see it when you tap like the king. You can see that it's pink. Yeah, and I think the blue looks nicer on the board because the pink doesn't really come into play except when you move your king. So, yeah, it works out. So, yeah, my opponent's taking their time right now. It's difficult to find a good move in this position because you have the knight attacking the rook on h6, the bishop attacking the rook on h6, the queen, if the rook moves out of the way, threatening to come down to h8 for checkmate. Then the knight is also attacking the e7 square. I have the knight on the e4 square with the ability to come through as well. So like let's say I put that knight onto f6, right? If I put it onto f6, the pawn could take me, yeah, but it opens up the king to be attacked on the e file. So, all right, so the pawn now is protecting the knight on b4 and attacking my queen on d4. Okay. I think what I'm going to do, I'm just checking it out. Okay. So I see, this is when you play a lot of chess, you start to see things. So I see this combo here. I could go knight from f5 to g7, check. The only way to get out of check is to move the king over to f8. Then I can put the bishop on h6, and it's X-ray attacking the king on f6, and then the moment the knight moves from g7 to e6, normally a pawn could kill it, but that would be double check because the knight and the bishop would both be attacking the king. And when you're in double check, there's only one way to get out of check. It's to move the king. So then the knight could come and take their queen. So I would sacrifice my queen now, but I would get a queen back. Or I could I'll do this and hope there's not a queen landmine. That's threatening checkmate. So that's going to be difficult to deal with. I'll do that. It's amazing we didn't have any landmine activations this game yet. If the person playing me knows me and is texting me, I can't see your texts, by the way. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to go here. That's check. So the only way out, so there's 3 ways to get out of check. The first way is to take the piece attacking you, attacking your king. The second way is to block, which is what was done. And the third way is to move your king. Unfortunately, the block was the only way to get out in this situation. So let's see if that's mate. It is checkmate. Okay, there was no landmine there. I was thinking at some point of, putting my queen on e7, like going that route, and there was a queen landmine there. So it's good I didn't do that. Good game. It was a lot of fun playing. Thank you for playing with me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to start up another one. So here's the play code. I'll put it into chat. So if you'd like to play, feel free to join. I'll confirm 16 again. And I'll make a first move. So whoever wants in, feel free to enter the play code. If you're just joining us now, you can go to trapchess.com and download the app. It's available for iPhone and Android. And then you can join. Someone joined. Thank you. Okay, it's your turn. I appreciate you playing with me. It means a lot. You mirrored me. Okay. Let's do another one. We'll just keep moving pawns. We'll keep it friendly. Oh, here's the location of all of my landmines. Let's see. All right. Remember what I said. Try to move each piece at least once. And don't be too aggressive because of the landmines. Kind of give yourself some options. That's what's important. Okay. Good. I'm going to do this. So the idea behind that move is my opponent might be thinking of putting their bishop on g7, and that all basically gives me a way to like block them in the middle, because then I could just do pawn to e3 and it blocks. Because if they take my pawn on d4 with their bishop on g7, they get 1 point from capturing a pawn, and then my pawn on e3 will take back, and I'll get 3 points for capturing their bishop. So it's to my advantage. So I know my opponent most likely won't take the pawn. It's preventative measures to protect yourself. That's what I'm essentially doing. Okay. So that's targeting the pawn on d4. It's also targeting the square on b4 as a potential place to put the knight. I'm not too concerned about that. I can always push it away or attack it away. But I'm going to continue with my strategy, and we'll just protect that pawn a little bit. Bishop landmine. That was an interesting move. So you're putting the bishop on the g4 square, and it was protected by the pawn on the h5 square, and it was attacking my queen. So I would have probably done something like move my pawn up or block with my knight or bishop to block it. But there was a bishop landmine there. So if we go to the move log, you can see. Oh, wait. I can't scroll enough because it's too early in the game. But there was a... It would say bishop g4, BLM for bishop landmine. All right, my turn. All right, I'm going to try to attack your knight. Maybe I'll hit a landmine. Nope. All right, I'm safe. The landmines change a lot. They really do. There's, for a while, and I still do it. So on Fridays, I post shorts showing an activation using the board game. So my strategy right now for social media is, yep, good. It's a good square to be on. It's protected right now. So, well, it's not protected, but it's safe. There's nothing that can take it right now. But keep that in mind. You do have the option of moving your pawn up from a7 to a5 to protect the knight, but right now it is safe. If I do attack it, try to protect it. To prevent you from doing that move, though, I'm going to do that and hope there's no landmine, and there isn't, so I'm safe. Yeah, so like I was saying on so my social media strategy right now is on Mondays I post just like an update on the project or something like silly or, you know, whatever, Mondays or whatever video, and I usually make it that week. Thursdays or Tuesdays I do a poll on YouTube, and so you can vote on the poll, and I have a Reddit post that goes out with the Tuesday polls. I don't have any followers on Reddit really yet, but I basically post my weekly updates there, and on Tuesdays you can vote on the poll, and you can have a discussion on Reddit about the poll. Wednesdays I'm going to do live streaming like I'm doing right now, starting at 5 p.m. Until I say otherwise, or if I have to miss a day, I'll say something like if I'm traveling or something, or if I'm sick, I'll be like, I can't do it on Wednesday. Thursdays I post on, I do a post. So Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays are all X, Facebook, and Instagram. Oh, interesting. So that's very aggressive, but I do have my bishop that can protect me against that. So I'm going to utilize my bishop to take you out there. If my bishop wasn't there, it would have been a great move because it would have forced my king out. So Monday, Thursday, Friday, X, Facebook, Instagram, all the same post. Mondays, just whatever, you know, project updates. Thursdays are activations from the app. Fridays are activations from the board game. And that's an interesting activation because I have Stockfish, the world's best chess computer, playing against itself. And then every time there's a trap activation, I update the board and let Stockfish make the next move. So Stockfish is literally working on the new board positions based on like the new turns, and it's trying to figure out the next best move. So it's all high level chess I have going on for that. Let's see. So you move your pawn. Okay. See, like you have more defense this game. It's harder for me to break through. Whoever I'm playing against, I like that. I am going to check you though. I'm going to do that and check. Just because it forces you to either move your pawn up, I'll take it with my pawn and it's not good for you, or you have to move your king or block with your queen. So it forces you to do something you might not want to do. So that's why I did the check. And then on Fridays, I also do a weekly update on Reddit talking about all of the things I did for the project so far. So like I'll post like, the website had this many changes. I made changes to the rule book. I did a live stream. I made these shorts, etc. And then I'll ask what people are like I'll have a follow-up question. It's usually what are you proud of that you worked on recently? Yeah, but I don't have a lot of engagement on Reddit currently. All right, so this is part of my plan. If you're watching, look at how this happens. So currently our queens are attacking each other. Okay. Your queen on D7 is attacking my queen on A4 and vice versa. I could take your queen. It would force your king to take me back and move your king out. Or I could do this. If I put my knight there, now your queen is blocked from taking my queen. And the moment I move my knight, I'm checking you. So if I put my knight on C7, right? Your king is in danger. And your queen cannot take my knight because then your king would be in danger by my queen. So your queen is what's called pinned. It can't be moved because a stronger piece would be taken. The king isn't stronger, but it's worth the most points because it's worth the entire game. So you wouldn't want to move your queen out of the way, or your queen wouldn't be able to move. So by doing that pressure, it changes things a little bit. So, okay, so you castled. Okay. Castling is a good move there. However, you still have that pawn on the side that's vulnerable. That's why I made that, because any way you tried to defend, there would still be something vulnerable that I could target. Take that pawn. Hope I don't hit a knight landmine. Check. Now your queen is protected by the rook, which is totally fine. So, but I'm trying to dismantle the left side because I already have my pawn so far up on the A file that if I just push that way, my rook can come down with that pawn. I can attack on that side, and you don't have a lot of ways to defend against it based on how the board is situated. Our queens are now attacking each other again. I might take your queen. That's totally fine. I might wait for you to do it so I can bring my rook up. But yeah, I basically snag that pawn for free, and it's a check, so it forces you to move your king because there's nothing that can take the knight back. Yeah, so okay, let's see. I'm thinking of moving my knight back to the b5 square and blocking the queen again and then pushing my pawn forward. I think that's a really good move. If you take me, it does open up the file, the B file, which your king is on, which is helpful for me. And also moving that pawn up allows my bishop on D2 to go to A5 and target that rook. And if you have to move that rook out of the way, your queen is no longer protected if I do one of those things where I check you again and open up my queen. So I'll do that. That's my plan. Now you know my plan. Now that you know my plan, you can look for a way around it. Yeah. So now the plan is next turn, push the pawn up to A6. That opens up the bishop to go to A5 whenever I want. If the pawn moves forward, I can push my pawn again. If the pawn takes, I can push my queen up there. And I'm really just hoping you don't have a queen landmine or a pawn landmine in that on the A file. But I don't know. You know, it's very easy to have a plan and have it be completely dismantled by a landmine. Yeah. There is a way to disarm landmines. It's called fizzle. So it's unique. If I were to make a move where I hit a landmine, and then that landmine activating opens up my king to being checked, because, like, let's say, yeah, I move a pawn up to like A5, and I have my king on A3, and you have a rook on A8, and my pawn hits a pawn landmine on A5, and it removes it, that would mean it's your turn, and your rook is attacking my king, so you could just take my king, and it's against the rules of chess to put your king into danger. So in that situation, what happens is called a fizzle. A fizzle is where, to avoid an illegal check situation, the landmine is removed from the board instead of the chess piece. So that's a way you would disarm them. Okay. So that move, I really don't want my rook to be taken, so that puts a wrench in my plans. However, I can move around that pretty easily by attacking the bishop back. I'll move my rook to safety by moving it up one square. It attacks the bishop sideways, and then the bishop has to run, and then I can move forward with my plan to move the pawn to A6. I could have put it on B1 too. B1 would have been fine too if I know that your pawn would take me on A6, because then it opens up that straight shot at your king. The moment, like if if I put it on B1, you'd move your bishop out of the way. And then if I went pawn up to A6, you take my pawn with your pawn. Then the moment I move my knight, you're in check. So that was a possibility. Because, like, let's say you moved your king to A8. I move my knight out of the way and I put it on, we'll say D6. That's check. Your king could go to C7, but if it went anywhere on the A file, the moment my queen took the pawn back, assuming you had taken my pawn on A6, it would be checkmate. So that's a possibility. If this is the same person that I've played a few times in a row, I have to say you've gotten better. So great job. You have improved. So I have some friends that were telling me, they're like, oh, I'd love to play you live on stream, but I'm not that good at chess and I don't want to embarrass myself. And I kept telling them, like, no one will know who you are. The only one that will make fun of you is me. It's totally fine. And my jokes are not good. So I think that helped them feel a little bit better. If this is someone I know. Last time, someone I don't talk to regularly, but I had met once before, joined me on the stream, and they played with me, and it was really fun, and I had a great time. So I hope they come back. Actually, I hope all of you come back. If you're joining for the first time and you've never seen this, you're like, what is this? Why should I care? The answer is you don't have to. You know, you can decide. You're your own person. You can decide what you care about and what you don't care about. But if you want to care about it, I would love to tell you everything about it. I've been dying to tell someone everything there is to know about trap chess without them falling asleep on me. You know, I've not physically dying, but I've been waiting. And, you know, you hear just talking about trap chess, I hear so many different types of snores. And I didn't know there were that many types of snores. So, yeah. All right, let's see. We're going to keep moving forward with the plan. Cool. If there was a trap there, if there was a pawn landmine, it would have activated and it would have been an immediate check, because my queen on A4 would be attacking straight through because the pawn would no longer be there. But there was not a pawn landmine, so here we are at the same situation we had planned for. It's looking pretty good. Also, we're coming up on the longest I've streamed live, so thank you for joining me if you've been here for a while or if you just joined. This is Trap Chess. it has hidden landmines in the board that are a new mechanic to remove your opponent's pieces. So taking more than your opponent when they're better than you gives you an actual game balance. The bishop moved back. Let's see. All right. I'm going to take the pawn with my pawn. So I'd like to point out something cool about that. This is what's known as a double check. So in chess, there's 3 ways to get out of check. The first way is to take the piece attacking you. The second way is to block. The third way is to move your king. There's exceptions, like you can't block a knight. You can't block if there's no squares in between your king and the piece attacking you. And you can't take the piece attacking you to get out of check if there are 2 pieces attacking you, hence a double check. When it's a double check, the only way to get out of check is to move your king. So if you look here, if my pawn takes on b7, pawns attack 1 square diagonally. So then my pawn would be attacking the king on a8, but also just the act of my pawn moving off of the a file has my queen on a4 attacking straight up and attacking the king on a8 as well. So this is what's known as a double check. The only way to get out of a double check is to move your king. Now, I have the rook lined up behind the queen. So that's helpful for when because my next move I can just bring my queen in. It's protected. And I kind of have the squares for c7 and a7 covered with the knight. b7 is open. It can be taken there. But even if it's taken, I can bring the queen in. No landmine? No landmine. Okay. So now the queen is protected by the knight on b5 and the rook on a2. So this kind of forces my opponent's hand a little bit. The only square they can move to now is c8. And then let's see, is there a checkmate from there? I don't think there's a checkmate from there because of the queen. All right, let me think. Yeah, okay. The best thing for me to do, queen to a8 and then rook to a7. That'll force their king up, actually. But it'll let me target the queen. So let's do that. Last game. Oh, that is checkmate. Yeah, that's right, because the knight. Last game, there was a queen landmine in the corner. And I would have lost my queen if it was there again. Good game. Thanks for playing again. That game was better than the other games. If it is the same player in terms of you were using more of your pieces. Still, though, I saw you move a couple of the same pieces, a couple turns in a row. Just take a look at how I'm putting my pieces in the middle, or I'm like moving them. It gives you more options. So, all right, let's get the next one queued up. Here we go. I'm going to put the code in the chat. Okay. And confirm. Cool. Okay, and I'll make the first move. Thanks again for playing with me. I'd love if you played again. Let's see. Thanks, Melly. You want to play, Melly? If you want to play, you can download the app from trapchess.com. Sorry, I have ice in my mouth. Download the app from trapchess.com. It's for iPhone and Android, and then you just enter the code and you can join. No problem. Thanks for checking out the stream and coming to say hi. Yep, the code's in the chat. It's QRTPW4. That's true. Last time we played, I believe one of us ran out of time, and the game ended because it ends on time. And thank you for playing with me. Whoever's been playing with me, if you're the same person over and over, I've had a lot of fun, and I hope you have too. And if it is the same person, you've improved greatly in a short period of time. Uh, like I said, most of the learning occurs in the beginning when you're learning something new. Like you learn a lot in the beginning, and then it kind of you learn less, but you just kind of perfect the things you learn and get better at them. So whoever I was playing with, you improved a lot in a short period of time, and I think you should be very proud of how much you improved. That was fantastic, and it was. I'm really happy for you. It's a lot of fun, especially when you're playing a game that's brand new and you don't know how to play. Like really putting yourself out there, trying it, and then seeing an improvement in such a short period of time is absolutely amazing, and you should be very proud of yourself. But I put a new code in chat. Anyone that wants to play, I'll put it in there again. So you can go to trapchess.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, download the app for iPhone or Android, and then just enter that code and hit join game, and we get to play a game. I won't know who you are. I won't know anything about you. I'll start out trying to play, but I'll try to judge how good you are at chess as we're playing, and then I'll try to adjust how I'm playing to balance that, because we are playing specifically with landmines right now, and the landmines can remove an opponent's piece if they land on the incorrect one. So yeah, I think as I get used to live streaming more, and I'm more familiar with the people I'm playing, I'll take, or I get better at chess, I'll take less landmines so we can have an actual game balance, because the landmines introduce risk to your opponent, because your opponent has to come onto your side to win. They have to do that because that's where your king is, and they have to checkmate your king. So introducing that risk, meaning they have to come to your side where all your landmines are hidden, means they may lose pieces trying to go for your king, which can balance the game. Like I said earlier, I've had Stockfish play Stockfish. I've had games with all of the landmines on the board, all 32, playing friendly fire on, so any landmine can remove any piece, not just targeted to your opponent. I've had games where 3 landmines activated in the whole game, or 2, and then I've had games where it's like 13. So each game is different. Every time a landmine activates and it's early, you get a brand new board position by that turn, which is super cool, because now all the memorization the top players do in the world, like the grandmasters, where they're like, all right, in 1952, this person played this person, and they did this, and this, and the game played out like this after all these opening moves. That stuff doesn't matter as much when you get a new board position, because it pulls it all towards critical thinking and away from historical analysis of older games, which is really, really cool when you think about it, because chess is so old, and having trap chess bring out brand new board positions that never existed brings back kind of the magic of chess. When I was younger, I learned to play when I was like in 6th grade, I think, maybe 7th grade. But when I was younger and I was learning how to play, I never read a chess book. I never looked up like, if they do this, you should do this. I didn't look up that stuff because it was boring to me. I liked actually thinking through every problem as it came to me. Over time, you start to recognize patterns, and you get better at navigating those problems, and you go like, okay, I tried this before and I know it works. I tried this, I know it doesn't work. And you just get better at making those follow-up moves. But like, I think that's what makes chess magical, like the part where you actually sit down and think. I like the memorization too. You know, the memorization does help people that are having like memory issues with Alzheimer's or dementia, things like that. Chess is great for that, for memory. But trap chess has it where when you play the board game and you get to choose the squares, you hide your traps, you memorize those squares. You memorize the stuff that you've shown. So if I move, when you're playing the board game, if I move my queen onto b6, I take a little dart, I pick up the square and I look at it. And if I see it's a trap for something else, I make a mental note and I remember, okay, b6 has a trap for rooks. Don't move a rook there. Or I go, b6 has a trap for rooks. What can I do to use this to my advantage? That knowledge is something I can use now. So I put a new code in the chat. It's QRTPW4. If you would like to play a game of trap chess with me, go to trapchess.com. Scroll to the bottom. There's a section that says download for iPhone or Android. You can download it and then play with me. iPhones can play with iPhones or Androids, and Androids can play with Androids or iPhones. Anyone can play with anyone. So, yep, I'm just kind of showing you how it works here. I clicked generate code. I generate the code. I join. I choose my landmine count, and it randomly lays them on the board. I'll hide my chess pieces, and you can see the locations of all of them. The blue ones are for queens, so that would be F4 and D3. The green ones are for rooks. That's E3 and A1. The orange ones are for knights. That's E1 and C2. The yellow ones are for bishops. That's H4, G4. And then the rest of them, the black ones, are for pawns. There is a legend when you scroll down that can help you determine what takes what. When you build a new product, or you build like a product, or you like work on a patent or anything like that, people will tell you, they'll say like, hey, I have this idea for you. Why don't you do it this way? So these things, I love that feedback, because sometimes people will come up with things you haven't thought of, and that helps a lot. Other times you'll be like, oh, I can't really do that because of these reasons, and maybe you already thought of it, or you know the reasons why, and that's totally fine. I'm devoting so much of my time on this. I know a lot more about it than someone who's seeing it for the first time. That's the same for anything. Anything you throw time at, you're going to be more of an expert than someone who's a beginner or someone seeing it for the first time. Anything in life works that way. But specifically with this, I was getting to why those are colors and not letters. So someone brought up once, they said, hey, why don't you just do B for bishop instead of yellow? And I was like, well, the problem is this is for phones, and phone screens are a little bit smaller. And if I do a B and it's too small, some people might not be able to see it as easily, because the screen might be big, but then each individual square is small. And that makes it a little more difficult for people to see. So doing it with the colors worked great. Then having the colors be on a color palette that's for people that can, with color vision deficiencies, where they can see the difference between any color, is fantastic. It solved all the problems in one shot. If you're just joining now, feel free to play a game of trap chess with me. You can do so by going to trapchess.com and downloading the app for iPhone or Android. The code that you can enter to play with me, I just generated, is QRTPW4. Yep, it's randomly generated. I've had some interesting codes pop up in the past. I had one that was FEQQQS, I think. And I sent it to a friend, and I was like, yo, what does the fex say? And like that YouTube video, if you know what I'm talking about. And they blocked me. They were like, that's not funny. And I haven't talked to them since. I'm joking. I hope they thought it was funny. They gave me a thumbs up, or, like an LOL, which is like a way of saying, I wanted to laugh, but just didn't get there, but I want you to feel good about sending this. So take these scraps, take them. So, all right. If you're, I'm waiting for someone to start a game with me. The code is in chat, QRTPW4. So far, I've had a great time playing with people. I don't know who's playing with me. I may know you, I may not know you, but they were really good games. We had some landmine activations. There was one where a landmine activated on the... Actually, we've had 2 activations for bishops on the G4 square. And if you look at the board, I have another bishop landmine on the G4 square. So maybe it'll happen again. I'm having a lot of fun. I didn't think live streaming would be this much fun. Yeah, but I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm just kind of... I like talking to you guys. And Melly, thanks for coming to check this out. We will have to play a game again soon. And I know you were talking about playing with your boyfriend. I remember. I got to teach you to kick his butt. So, yeah. Not physically, just like mentally in chess. I want him to basically go, oh man, I just lost in chess to Melly, and boy, is my butt sore. That's the end goal here. So I feel like I'm just talking into space. I can see people are watching, but I don't. I feel like I'm just rambling. Mm. Also, you can see back there, that's the art. Let me see so I don't block it. That's the art for the Trap Chess board game. Um, it's being manufactured by Ad Magic. I'm just working through a few more things before I get my final prototype from them, and that's the divider. The divider is the one that unlocks additional game modes. All right, thank you for joining. So that's a standard opening move for my move. We're going to do this. The idea for that is to open up my bishop on c2. All right, let's see where we're going with this. Now, the way I'm playing, you can see the locations of all of my traps, but I cannot see the locations of my opponent's traps. So if I hit one, it'll be a complete surprise to me and to anyone watching. All right. I will go. So that blocks my bishop plan pretty much. So we're just going to abandon that. And we'll just bring the knight out. Yeah, I can't really put my bishop on b2 and push it through when they have a pawn on e5 protecting. All right, this person seems to be a little more experienced in chess. I'm going to go ahead and protect my pawn from their knight. Now I have my pawn protected by my knight and my pawn. My knight on c3 and my pawn on d3. It opens up the possibility of me doing what's known as a pin by putting my bishop on g5. A pin is where you can't move a piece because a stronger piece behind it would be taken. So a bishop on g5 attacks the knight on f6, which also, and then it attacks through that knight to the d8 square where the queen is. So if that knight were to move out of the way, I could target the queen. So with streaming, usually before I started streaming, I thought like, oh man, I'm going to have to be looking down at my phone the whole time. But it's really nice to have the stream open and be able to see the board like big right there. Huh. I said that and then the pawn went there. It's almost like you're trying to bait me to put my bishop there. You're like, yeah, go for that pin. If you go for that pin, I'm okay. But it makes me think I'll hit that pawn and there will be a bishop landmine. But you know what? Let's go for it. No landmine. Okay. So another way that you could have prevented the pin would have been to move the pawn from h7 to h6. Because then if I try to go to the g5 square, your pawn would be able to take me. I hope that helps. Yeah, that's like a normal way to block bishops, just moving a pawn on the h file or a file up one, and because putting a bishop on like the b5 or the g5 square is pretty common because those are squares where you can pin. Like if a knight comes out and I put a bishop on the b5 square, I'm pinning the knight because of the king. If I do it on the other side, it's pinning because of the queen. Oh, interesting. You know what? I'm going to protect my bishop. So bishops are worth 3 points and rooks are worth 5. So if the rook takes my bishop, my opponent gets 3. I take the rook back, I get 5. And not only that, my pawn would also then be attacking their knight on the f6 square still. So they'd have to deal with that unless there's a pawn landmine on the g5 square, which I wouldn't know until I move a pawn there. I like this game so far. Seems it's going to be a good game. I can tell. Okay. I like that whoever I'm playing against is moving their other pieces early. That's really good. Getting more pieces out early gives you more options. So let's see. I kind of have my bishop on f1 trapped because of my pawn on d3. It can't come out too far, which is okay. I could bring it to the right side. Now, a thing to know about knights is whenever they make a move, they switch the color they're on. So I like the idea of doing this because the knight would have to move to a light colored square. And the only light colored squares that weren't protected were g4 and h5. Well, my queen is, but my queen wouldn't take a knight on g4 because of the bishop on c8. So by putting my bishop on e2, because knights and bishops are worth the same, it protects that diagonal a little bit better. So I don't have to, you know, I don't have to worry about that knight as much. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. So I'm a chess teacher, but I didn't become a teacher right away. I just played a lot of chess, and then when you teach, you have to suddenly realize why you're doing things because you have to explain them to other people. But sometimes it's difficult to explain everything. So I hope I'm doing a good job. If I'm not, let me know. And just be like, hey, that's it. Just point at me. I'll know. I'll feel the point. I'll get the point. Let's see. So that pawn on h6 isn't protected at all. So me taking it opens up the rook on g8 as an x-ray attack to take my g2 pawn, which isn't bad. It's very aggressive. I'm just looking to see if that could be a problem if I take that pawn. They take that, then their bishop can come down, but their bishop can't do much. All right, I'm going to take the pawn. No bishop landmine. Okay, good. I didn't see an immediate threat for taking that pawn, so I opted to go with it. But there could have been a bishop landmine there, and I would have just lost the bishop. Oh. Yeah, and like I said, it opens up the x-ray attack from the rook on g8 to come down. So it could take the g2 pawn. But then, I don't know. I feel like I'll spend some moves just pushing the rook out of there, which will let me advance my pieces and put them into more strategic positions while attacking the rook and forcing my opponent to run with it. So I'm completely okay with that. Sorry, just trying to figure this out. Yeah, my opponent and I are both thinking. You can tell. I smell the wood burning. Okay. I think the best thing for me is just to go back, right? Just go back to the g5 square. Do that. So I have two forms of protection for the pawn on h4. I have the bishop on g5 and the rook on h1. So it's safe there. A pawn protecting a bishop is actually a really strong combo. They protect each other because the bishop can go backwards, but the pawn can't. So it's a strong combo. It can be broken through pretty easily, but if they want to break through it, they have to give up something usually. And in this situation, my opponent doesn't have a pawn to push my bishop away anymore. They can only really break through with their bishop or by taking it with a knight or sacrificing the rook for it. And all of those are, I'm okay with them because of the points, and it would also open up my rook to come out. The way it's set up right now, though, that if they took my bishop and I took them back with my pawn, it would open up an x-ray attack, and their rook would be able to come down from h8 and take my rook on h1. So if I see something like that happening, I'll probably plan ahead and block it. Okay. Let's see. So the pawn went up from c7 to c5. Okay. So if I put my knight on d5, the only thing that can stop the knight then is their knight on f6 can take it. There's no pawns that can push it away anymore, but there could be a trap there. All right, I have an idea. We're going to go swap bishop for knight. Okay. And then now nothing's attacking the d5 square, and it's a pretty strong square to put my knight. So when they take back with their bishop, I can go knight to d5, attacking the bishop, and basically having a really strong spot to just hit a lot of squares. Cool, I'm good with that. I think I have one more move before I do that, actually. So I mentioned something earlier about safety squares, basically putting your piece on a square where if they take you, you're okay because you have the proper landmine there. I'm going to utilize that concept on my next move, probably. Yeah, I'm thinking I'll put my bishop probably on g4. g4 is a square that has a bishop landmine. So even though my queen is protecting it, if they take me, the landmine will activate and do the work for me. Yeah. I don't mind leaving my pawn on h4. So having the pawn there, they have an attacker on h8 attacking my pawn on h4. So when their bishop takes my bishop, there it goes on f6. I'm okay with that. Because one, I have a bishop landmine there. Two, I could always move my pawn to g3 if I wanted to push him back. All right. Continue with the plan. So the only piece that would be able to push my knight off of the d5 square is that bishop on the light colored square by taking it. So I'm being offensive against that bishop first because I want that square. That square is like a pivotal point. It threatens a fork on c7. That threatens another check on f6. The queen is protecting the bishop there, but the moment it's not, boom, free bishop. Yeah. The person I'm playing here is pretty experienced in chess. So I'm gonna try to play this game at a higher level. Interesting. They see the plan and they don't like it. They're protecting that bishop on f6 as well. Okay. I'm thinking. Sorry for the silence. Okay. No, I don't want to do that yet. I don't want to put the knight there yet. It's not the time. Actually, it is the time. I have an idea. We're going to bring my other knight into play. Knights are my favorite. I'm going to try to use my knights in ways that that make you guys go, whoa, thought it was daytime, but all I'm seeing is night. As it gets closer to the Kickstarter, I'll probably stream live more. But got to start someplace, and right now I'm just doing YouTube. I'll probably open it up to other channels so I can play with different people. But when you're starting something new, it was more important for me to have no technical difficulties and have it like work well the first couple times. So that's where we're at. This is a good game. There's more going on here. I have to give careful thought to my moves, just like my opponent does. Oh, a pin. Does not want me to move that knight anymore. Okay. Okay. So what I'm looking at is if my opponent can sync up other pieces to attack that knight. So currently, my knight on c3 has only one defender, and that's the knight on e2. That's the only piece protecting it. So what I'm looking at is seeing if there are ways for my opponent to put additional attackers on that. Because if they do and they get their queen there, that's a fork. You know, the queen is attacking the king on e1 and the rook on a1. So I'm looking to see if they can do that. If they can't do that, I can kind of ignore this threat right now. Currently, the easiest piece they could do it with is the bishop on the dark colored square. But that bishop is completely blocked by the pawn on e5. So I'm safe there. Yeah, you know what? I like this. So if I go that, I'm thinking queen to d2. Queen to d2 would be pretty good. It provides extra protection. Yeah, they can't do much there. I could do bishop takes on d7. I don't think it's the right time for that. Okay. Yeah, we're going queen to d2. Queen d2 looks like the best move. You know, I don't mind not castling. A lot of people hate it or dislike it when they play a game and they don't castle. But I don't mind. Castling isn't everything. It doesn't matter much to me. Yeah, I see some options here. I'm seeing my knights as a really great way to keep attacking. Huh, that's interesting. Why is the queen there? I mean, is the goal the b2 square with the queen? That doesn't make much sense to me. I'm still looking at bishop takes d7 and then knight to d5. I'm still looking at that. But I don't want to do that if it means their bishop takes d7 and then they can bring it into the action. But I don't think they can because of my pawn wall. I think it's okay. Yeah, okay. We're taken. Check. That means my opponent is forced to deal with that threat. Most likely scenario is bishop takes. Yep. Okay. Execute plan. Please no landmine. Okay. So now I have the possibility of going f6 with my knight, which is a check and a bishop for free. Or going c7 with my knight, which is a fork on the king and the rook. My opponent could opt to attack with their queen again on the rook by going to b. Yeah, I don't. It's I don't really like that move that they made because They're very limited with their options here. They still have to deal with that problem. They're just creating a temporary solution right now. So I don't think it was the best move for them. Yeah, I'm either castling on king's side. That would have the rooks protect each other. But if I do that, the pawn on h4 is pretty weak. Or I can just move the rook out of the way. And I'm looking at c1 or d1. Both of those are pretty good possibilities. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Better move. Let's trade queens. I'm okay with it. I'll take a queen. You get a queen. This will be the Oprah show. Let's trade queens. You get a queen. You get a queen. You get a queen. Let's do it. I know that's not ideal for you. I'm up by 2 pawns. In the game of chess, if you're up by pieces, trading is in your best interest. If you're down pieces, you generally don't want to trade. Oh. That square. So the person I'm playing has been playing very well so far, but I think this is their first blunder. I don't think they see... Since they're playing well, I'm gonna go for the victory. I'll take the queen. Yeah, that was a blunder. It's okay, it happens. I did a few on stream last time. Let's see what's next. So that threat still exists. The knight threat. It's attacking the bishop. The bishop is not protected at all. And then I have the possibility of the c7 fork on the king and the rook. So both of those are no bueno. No bueno for my opponent. They're not good. Let's see. That was for a moment I was like, okay, my opponent is pretty aggressive. I need to watch. But that sometimes people blunder. That's okay. That's okay. That's part of learning. I like losing. When I lose, I usually learn something. So let's see. Yeah, when I was asking friends if they wanted to play trap chess on the stream with me, they would say like, you know, I don't want to play and not be good and embarrass myself. And I was like, no one will know who you are. I'm the only person that can embarrass myself here because people are looking at me, and I have to say I've been playing my best, but no matter what I do, I still feel like an embarrassment. Feeling just won't go away. But that's life. Maybe one day I won't. Whose turn is it? It's my turn. Okay. Moving the pawn up. Okay. We're going to go... I'm going to go for the free piece, I think. So trap chess, like I was saying earlier, you run the risk of hitting like landmines. So moving the knight to 2 squares increases the risk of hitting a landmine because I have to move twice. Moving to 1. I'm just going to take the free piece and go for the check and hope there's not a landmine. Okay. Whoever this is, if you want to play again, I'm down. I'll put up another code in the chat after the game. Or if someone else wants to play. I'm good playing with anyone. Okay, I really hope there's not a landmine here. Okay, safe. Yep, that protects me from the rook going to g8 to attack the queen because I have the knight there. The knight is setting up an X-ray attack on the king. The moment the knight moves out of the way, the king is in danger because of the queen. I could go knight to d5, which I know is safe because it's been there before. And then queen to e7 for checkmate. If they move to e8 instead of f8. That's a good possibility. I can also at any point bring my rook from a1 to a6. And then that rook can come over to d6 at any point. And it'll be right there with the bishop and in the game. I could run my pawn up from h4 to get it in the game. I have options. I could go queen to g7 to apply pressure on the rook once the king is on the 8 rank, because then the other rook won't be protecting it. So I have possibilities here. I'm surprised neither of us have hit a landmine yet, but sometimes you get games like that. That's totally normal. You can see the locations of all of my landmines. I have no idea where the 16 are that my opponent has. I've skillfully avoided them so far. I'm like just maneuvering around them. Okay, we're gonna go double check again, so that the only way my opponent can get out of it is by moving their king. That's a double check. I opened up the X-ray attack from the queen on g5, so now it's attacking the king on e7, and then the knight on d5 is also attacking e7. So only way to get out of check like that is to move the king, because the other two ways are capture the piece attacking you or block, and you can't block and capture two pieces in one turn. Doesn't work. Whoever I'm playing against has me thinking. I'm having a good time. Thanks for playing with me. I appreciate it. I really do. And I hope you're having a good time as well. Just thinking how to go for mate. Okay, so the e7 square is open for my queen. It'll stay open. Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with that. No. Okay, I swore. I was so sure there was a queen landmine there when I made that move because of like the delay with the check. I was like, I'm done. Okay. Queen knight together is a really strong combo. It always will be. But you know what's better than one queen and one knight? One queen and two knights. I'm going to try to bring that other knight into play. My opponent is probably sitting there like, go here with your queen, because the moment I do, they know I'll lose my queen. I don't know where that square is though, so I'm just playing chess. I'm like thinking about it, so I'm using my queen less, but I'm really just playing chess. Check. Knight to f6 is check, but it doesn't... I mean, I guess that's okay. Alright, we're going to bring the other knight in. I don't mind if my opponent trades like bishop for knight. That's totally fine. The other rook kind of can't do anything right now. Both rooks are kind of stuck, so I can just kind of take my time. I still have the option to go a6 with my rook. a6 is good because then I can take the bishop, or I can come over and take the d6 pawn, and and then bring the rook in to go for checkmate. I have options. Okay. Yeah, that's a trade. Ah, there's a pawn landmine. It's not a full trade. They picked up a point on that. So they went bishop for knight. They got 3 points. Then I went pawn for bishop. I got 3 points. But then so that's 3 and 3. But then the bishop or the pawn landmine took my pawn. So then they ended up with 4, and I ended up with 3. So that was a win for them. Good job using your landmine effectively. That was great. It's not over. I could hit a queen landmine and then a knight landmine and then a rook landmine, and that's it. I'm just going to be very, very careful not to have that happen. Maybe I'll play one more after this. I think I'll bring that rook in. That makes the most sense. It's a lot of thinking in chess. It's what makes it a great game. Yeah, okay. So my next plan is probably rook a6 and then go d6 with it. I can't do much. Oh, I got the knight protecting the rook on h1. I could push that pawn up. Yeah, I could push the pawn up. I'm likely to hit a trap with it, but I mean, I have the knight protecting the rook on h1, so I can always protect my rook now, which is great. Oh, they moved their rook. Okay. Well then, we'll go all the way. Now that that rook isn't there, I was allowed to take that pawn. Because I'm allowed to take that pawn, it lets me line up my queen and my rook on the 7 rank. So my queen can take the pawn on f7 for a checkmate. If they try to defend against it, I can bring my knight in. I have a lot of options, so... Yeah. Yeah, I see it as like let's say rook goes h7, knight goes f5, and then when I put the knight on h6, if their rook takes it, it's checkmate because I go f7, g7. If they move their king up, then queen takes f7 anyway. That's check. The rook is on h7, so the king either, yeah. So, yep, you got this. Yeah, no matter what. As long as I don't hit a landmine, I should be okay here. This plan will work. So the idea is knight to h6. If rook takes knight, queen takes f7, king has to go in corner, queen goes g7, checkmate. Okay. Well, that delays things. If I get... I guess I can still do h6 with the knight. Like, it doesn't change much or anything. Yeah. It doesn't change anything. Because now I got the option to check with on the F7 square. Or I could go F6 with the queen for checkmate. Well, they could block with the rook, but it's still, it's coming. As long as I don't hit a landmine. That makes for good content, I guess. If I hit a landmine. I had a video, the one coming out on Thursday, actually. Tomorrow is a checkmate that was blocked by a landmine. Which is pretty cool that a checkmate can be blocked by a landmine. It's kind of like that last ditch effort. You're like, it's that last ditch effort. You're like, oh, I got this. And then it's like, boom. And you don't got this. Yeah, so we're closing in, but there could be landmines here. Yeah, okay. So let me just figure this out here. It's a puzzle. Okay, so queen can take. Then king would take on... Yeah, okay. Check. King takes knight. Doesn't matter. I take rook. That should be it unless there's a queen landmine there. I do know. Is that F6 square safe? Because if I'm afraid of a landmine for queens on H7, I could go F6 with queen, then take with the rook on H7. That's a possibility. So I have a couple options here. But it's okay to give up the knight. It's okay sometimes to give up points for position or to win. If you see something, do it. There's something called smother mate in chess. That's where like your opponent's pieces are surrounded by their own pieces pretty much. And then you check them and with a knight. And yeah, okay. Checkmate. Cool. Good game. Thank you for playing. That was a really good game. I had a great time. Here we can see the locations of all the traps. Okay, so the queen ones were on C5 and B7. I was safe, but the rook ones were on E6 and E8. Okay, I was still safe. My rooks weren't going on those squares and my queen was on the other side. All good. All right, I'm going to put one more play code in the chat, and whoever wants to play can play me. Thank you again for playing me. That was awesome. If you're just joining us now, you can go to trapchess.com. Download the app for iPhone or Android, and then you can enter the play code and join a game and play with me. No one will know who you are. So if you are concerned about, people seeing you not playing well, don't worry about it. This is a safe space. I will teach. If I notice your skill level is more of a beginner, I will go slower, and I will try to look for things as teaching moments. If I notice you're a better player, I'll give more thought to my moves. And I'll try to play the best chess I can play. The last player, I gave a lot more thought to the moves. They were good. But here's the code. It's 8YQ35C, and you'll be able to play with me. It's chess with hidden landmines. I will be playing with all of my landmines showing as usual. So you can see there, I got my queen landmines on D2, D4, my rook landmines on A3, G1. So if a queen lands on D4 or D2, it's gone. If a rook lands on A3, G1, it's gone. I'm immune to my own landmines. These are only to take out my opponent's traps, or opponent's pieces. I got the bishop ones on H1, which is not a good square for a bishop one, and C3. I got my knight ones on E1 and H4, and then you see I have pawn ones scattered everywhere. So if you'd like to play with me, go to trapchess.com, download the app, enter the code 8YQ35C, and we can start. As soon as someone joins, you'll hear a thump, which is the same sound that the pieces make when they move, and you'll see their landmines on their timer bar will set to whatever number they chose. I'll make the first move. Boom. the most common move. And you'll see their timer bar starts ticking down. A function or a feature of the app is if you make a move, or if I send a game to someone and they go to play, and they don't like join for maybe like 2 or 3 hours, and then they join, the timer bar will reset to 12 hours for that player. That way you can play throughout the day, and it's kind of one of those games where you get a notification, it's your turn, check, you make your move, then you go back to whatever you're doing. You can also sit down and just play a game with someone just like regular chess. I liked it to have that flexibility. I thought that was kind of cool. All right, here we go. New player. We'll just do different opening moves. I did the same move as last game, but last time I think I moved B2 to B3. This time we'll just go B3 or C3 with the knight. Thank you for joining, whoever joined to play with me. I'm looking forward to playing with you. All right. So that blocks my knight from moving any further. Okay. I'm going to... Okay. That also preps them to move their pawn from D7 to D5. Okay. I'm going to go... You know what? I'll bring out my bishop. I'm going to try something different. I have an idea. I want to bring the bishop out early this time, and then I have like last time. I could move the pawn from like D2 to D3 to protect my pawn on E4. That's totally fine, but that blocked my bishop in last time, so I'd like to get it out before I do any type of protecting or moving my pawns up there. Yep, I figured that was coming. We'll just take. No problem taking. If there's a landmine, that's okay. I have 1, 2, 3 pieces attacking that square. My opponent only had 2 pieces defending it. So ties in terms of quantity of pieces goes to the defender. The defender. But I have 1 extra attacker. So if we play it out where they take me, you take me, I take you, you take me, I take you, I will end up owning or controlling that piece of territory, the square of D5. However, you could just be getting me to move pieces there because maybe you have a landmine there for knights or bishops and you're hoping that we play it out and I lose a piece to the landmine. That's a great plan too. So it's good to look at what you have hidden on your squares. Yeah, I'm seeing that's okay. I also always have the option to go for the check on B5. Just forces my opponent to block. It's not a check I would normally do, but it exists. So if I'm ever in danger, I could just go bishop check. All right, figure it out later. You know, like I could do bishop check and then my opponent goes, okay, and they block, and then maybe their queen isn't attacking that D5 square too. Okay, I'm going to go... I want to just keep attacking. I think I'm going to just take that pawn. I'm trying to figure out. I think my opponent... I think it's a different opponent than last time, maybe. Could be. Yeah, I'm going to take that pawn. I always wait. I'm like, the landmine sound is coming. Yeah, they want bishop there to go for the G2 square, but I can just block it by moving my pawn up onto F3. That does open me up for the check from their queen on H4 because it's the weak side of the board. The king side is the weakest side of the chessboard. There's actually a way to win the game in 2 moves. If you're playing black and your opponent as white goes F2, F4, and G2, G4 as their first 2 moves, you can move your queen. If you went E7, E5, or E7, E6, you can go queen straight to H4 and it's checkmate. Okay. I thought they were going to go bishop takes so that they could target the G2 pawn, but I was wrong. So I'm going to do this. 1, A2 to A3 blocks the knight from going to B4. That's one thing it accomplishes. The second thing it accomplishes is it gives my bishop a place to run to that's always safe, the A2 square. So I like having both of those things set up. Their knight could still go to D4. If they went to D4, though, it's not that bad. It's not in a spot where it's like hurting me, and I can always push it out or attack it with my knight. And then if I go knight, it would be like knight takes, then I take their pawn. You know, I come up with a way to take that pawn when it takes back. It's okay. Yeah. Just trying to figure it out. How's the music volume? Can you guys hear the music? Is it a good volume? Okay, so that move makes me think the next move is b7 to b5 to push my bishop out, which is exactly why I have that a2 square to run to. So I'm not too scared of that. I'm gonna go. I want to move my queen into the action. I'm gonna put my queen on f3. That threatens in the best way. It threatens a checkmate on the f7 square right now. So if they miss that, it's checkmate. The other thing it does is the b7 square is not protected. So I have an x-ray attack open if their knight moves directly to the b7 square. Now, if their knight moves to like d4 to attack me, they do have that fork open on c2 with my king and my rook. But if they move it there anyway, just go for checkmate. If they have a queen landmine on the f7 square where I'm going for checkmate, then I guess I just lose. I guess that's just it. I just lose the game. Because then they'll go, okay, queen is gone. Check your king, get a pawn, and then take the rook for 5. So I'll be down 15 points in 2 moves or 3 moves. So I think I just lose then, but I'll still fight. They're looking for a way. I'm pretty sure this player sees the checkmate. And they're looking for a way to block it. I don't think they're just going to let me checkmate them. I'm looking at the possibilities if they don't block it. Or if they do block it, rather. Yeah, so like knight to h6 blocks it. Excuse me. Knight to f6 blocks it. I guess bishop to e6 blocks it. Queen to e7 blocks it. Queen to f6 blocks it. A less good way to block it would be pawn f6. They go pawn f6. I do, oh no. They didn't see it. If they did pawn f6, I would have gone bishop to g8. Then they take the knight. Then they take back with the rook. Then I check on h5. And then I come forward on h7. And their rook is on the g8 square. So it's a sitting duck. They didn't see it. There's a checkmate. I could win. All right, I'm not going to win. We'll go, I don't know. I don't know the skill level of each person I'm playing. So, I don't know if it's a trap or not going for the checkmate. If I take the f7 pawn and they have a queen landmine there, I lose. But, all right, we're just going to go for it. Checkmate. Yeah, okay, checkmate. Good game. I wasn't going to do it, and then I decided to do it. I didn't know what to do. So, all right. Well, that was a fast one. I'll do one more. Let's go ahead, generate code, join game. Here, I'll enter the code in the chat. 6CQ. Confirm. Yep. So anyone that wants to play, feel free to join. It'd probably be my last game. Yeah, that last one was pretty fast, so we'll do one more. I'm gonna, once I get better at streaming, I'll probably do the multi-stream where I'll stream on multiple channels. So I have a Facebook and an Instagram. I think I can set those up too. Maybe a Twitch. I don't know. I don't have TikTok. I actually, I did have a TikTok, but because I use the term landmines on TikTok, which is the name of the pieces, the traps that get hidden in the board, I received a notification saying my account was, I guess, banned. So, and then they were like, oh, you can appeal it. And I was like, why would I appeal it? The name of the piece is not going to change. So it didn't make sense. I just stuck with it and said, okay. And I got rid of my TikTok. Okay. I do that. Now, whoever I'm playing, be careful. I'm going to show you like a really cool trick. You ready? If the game goes really quick, let's play again. But I'm showing you a cool trick. Okay? So that F7 to F5 pawn is that pawn is the weakest pawn on the entire board at the start of the game, because it's like a prime spot to get hit. That's the one where people can checkmate you in 4 moves. That's the one you have to watch early game, because people, if they go for it and you don't protect against it, it's pretty much game over. So now that you moved it, you opened up a check on that side of the board. There's only one way to defend against that check, which is your pawn from G7 to G6. That's the only way to defend. It's the 3 ways to get out of check are take, block, move your king. You can't take. You can block with that pawn, and you can't move your king because the only square it can move to, it's still in danger. So there's this plan where now I offer you a free queen. If you take the queen, it's game over, because your king does not have anywhere to run to, and the bishop ends the game. Yep. So good game. You want to play again? I just wanted to show you that. I thought it was a good teaching moment. So I'm going to make another game. I hope the same person joins, and I'll take it. I'll go easy. That's the new code. All right, show my landmines. We'll start the same way. Be careful with that F7 to F5 pawn. I just wanted to use that as a teaching moment to show you that pawn is, you got to be careful with it. It's generally not a good starting move to focus any attention around that pawn. So thank you for joining again, and good game. I hope that was a good teaching moment for you. Yeah, so I'll make the same starting move I made. Okay. And I'm going to go a little bit, I'm not going to go hard on this. I'm assuming it's the same person I'm playing. Okay. We'll just take it nice and easy. See if we get some trap activations. That's always fun. Let's see. Okay. I take. Ah! Pawn landmine. Nice. Nice. There goes my pawn. Good move. So, the cool part is, normally you would spend your turn taking me back. But now you get to do whatever you want because the landmine took me back for you. So, that's one of the cool mechanics of trap chess. Oh, you moved your knight back. Interesting. Generally, it's good to, when you're starting out, try to move every piece at least once, except like your king, queen, and rooks. So just your bishops and knights. It's good to get them started and situated, and then things open up and you start reacting to what your opponent does. We'll do that. I'll just take that diagonal with the bishop. Oh, that opened up my bishop to take your rook. So I'm going to click it so you can see. My bishop could go from b2 all the way to h8 and take the rook. I'm not going to take it, but it is a possibility. So on your next turn, I would say do something to defend against that, because the rook is worth 5 points. It's a really powerful piece that you don't want to lose, because later on in the game, it hurts you. All right, we'll go knight. There's a few ways to defend against that rook take. The best one is probably to use your knight. Fantastic. Good job. It's probably the best way to defend against it. Using your bishop would just end in losing the bishop as well. And doing that actually lets you now, if you wanted to, move the rook over to g8 to protect that pawn. However, that pawn is sitting there without any protection. So I'm just going to do this and put my pawn there without any protection for your knight. So you can decide how you want to move from there. Okay, and now it protects your pawn too. But doesn't mean I can't attack your knight again. So remember though, moving that knight out of the way means your rook is in danger again. Yeah, so, okay. I warned you enough about it. I'm taking that rook. I'm going for it. Oh, bishop landmine. Well played. Now, you essentially get that free move because you're not taking me back. You didn't have a way to take me back anyway, but you do get 3 points for my 5. So I did get 2 extra points on you there, but you did utilize the landmine mechanic really well, and that's pretty cool. So good job. And there's my pawn landmine. And then I'm taking that pawn. That pawn is just sitting. I really thought that pawn was going to be another landmine, and I was going to be down 2 bishops from landmines. I was so sure of it, but I'm happy I'm not. Thanks again for watching me, guys. It really means a lot. You could be spending your time doing anything, and you're here watching me play chess. That means a lot to me. And playing with me. That's so cool. Ooh. Remember, that F7 pawn, that's dangerous. For white, it's F2. For black, it's F7. So I want to point out the moves that I see here. I see the possibility to go G6 with my bishop, and then the only way you can defend is to put your knight on F7. F7. So then if I bring in my queen, like I go like C2, C4, I can try to go for the checkmate. I could also do, if I move my knight out of the way on the F3 square, it opens up my queen on D1 to come out. So I could go like D1 to H5. You have to block with the knight, then bring the bishop in and try to go for checkmate. I have some options. I'm just going to go, I'm going to start with my pawn. Move up my pawn. Try to move some of your other pieces. You haven't moved them as much. Getting them into play will help you, but be wary of that. The check that you've opened up on like F7, G6, H5, like that whole diagonal. On that square, my bishop can come back and take your knight. You've also opened up checkmate for me if I go to G5. I'm not going to do it yet, but I just wanted you to be aware of it. Okay. I'm looking for teaching things. All right. I'm going to push you away. Attack with my my pawn. I see that if anyone's in the chat and they're like, why didn't you do the checkmate? It's because my opponent is someone that's learning the game, and I don't want to just steamroll. That's not nice. We're both playing with the same number of landmines. I have no way of knowing who my opponent will be the way I'm doing this. So usually we would balance it by taking different quantities of landmines. But in this situation, I didn't know who my opponent would be. So, and I think it's great that you're trying chess. That's awesome. It's a really fun game, especially the better you get at it, the more you learn, and the more fun it gets. Okay. Let's bring my queen in a little. I feel like my mic is picking up my ice. Is that too loud? Okay. We go. Let's bring the knight in. So the bishop is now targeting my knight on f3, but my queen can defend against it pretty easily. That's called a fork right now. You're attacking my queen and my rook at the same time. However, you don't have protection on the bishop in this situation. So because you don't have protection, I can just take it. If you did have protection, let's say you had a knight on g5, right? I wouldn't be able to take your bishop with my queen because you would take me back. So I'd be getting 3 points and you'd be getting 9. So it'd save the queen. And while I save the queen, you would take the rook on h1. But because there's no protection, you've forced my hand and I have to take the bishop. So now that opens up the queen on the diagonal to take your rook on a8. And also don't forget, you still have that problem to deal with the bishop on h6 going to h7 going to g6, because the only way you can defend that is with your knight on f7. If that knight isn't there, that's checkmate. Your king doesn't have anywhere to run. You don't have any other pieces to take it. Good job on protecting the rook. All right. I'm going to go and take that knight out of the way. That's check. There's 2 moves you can make here to get out of check. One is better than the other. Keep that in mind. If you do the wrong one, the game can end. Think about which one is better before you make the move. To go over it, there's 2 pawns that can take the knight. If you take with the wrong one, I can checkmate. Hi, Keith. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. Would you like to play next game? There's a little bit of a delay, so. Oh, man. Okay. So if you use the pawn on e7 to take on d6, your king would have had somewhere to run. But unfortunately, it didn't. So I wanted to point that out because the knight was preventing checkmate earlier. So good game. Thank you for playing with me. By the way, I'm doing this every Wednesday at 5 p.m. starting. So you can always play with me again. So if I'm going to throw another code in the chat. So here's the code 2P8N. Cool. Enter that code and join up and play with me. We'll just do that. Yeah, so you can go to trapchess.com and click if you have Android or iPhone and download the correct app. Then you can enter the code and hit join game and play with me. In Trap Chess, there are landmines. Landmines are hidden in the board. Ooh, my opponent took 8 this time. Okay. 8 instead of 16. Oh, I see. If this is Keith, I don't know if you updated the app. There's a new version. So the old version, I had it set so that 8 was the default landmine. So when you went to start a game, you'd have to click up or click down. And then I realized people weren't reading it. They were just hitting confirm. So they were starting with 8. And if you really want to see what makes Trap Chess special, the best thing to do is have the maximum number of landmines. So I released an update where I set, it was no longer 8 as the preset, it was 16. So now when you join, you just immediately join as 16, which is the most amount of landmines you can have, which increases the chance of you having an activation. So since I'm pretty sure it's Keith, because I know Keith, and he's a great dude. He downloaded the app with the old version. I don't think he updated it because I saw it come through with 8. So I'm not gonna go too hard here. I'm not gonna like pressure and just go for the win. Yeah, it is you, isn't it? I knew it was you playing. Yeah, because you were an early user, so you would have the app before I did the update. Thanks for playing with me, by the way. It means a lot. You guys rock. Everyone that's played with me and everyone that joined the stream, it means a lot to me. You guys really do rock. Thank you. All right. Wow. I'm happy you guys are checking this out. It's like a new thing. Trap Chess is brand new. I mean, I've been working on it for a little bit, but the app only came out for Android in end of February, and for Apple it came out in March. So it's cool to see you guys. Mel, you're so nice. Thank you. You know, I'm just doing my best like everyone else out there. You know what I mean? Life comes at you like hard and fast, and you just got to do your best to survive. And so you guys rock. You could be spending your time doing anything, and you're spending it watching a chess game. Thank you. I'm trying to figure out what to do here. Of course. Chess is great to watch. And I'm trying to explain everything. Oh, I would love for you to beat me. I want you to beat me. If you beat me at chess, that would be amazing. I want to learn something from you in chess. Crush me. Make me cry. I want you to make me cry. Not like in chess. Don't like insult me in a way that makes me cry. No, but just beat me in chess. All right. So I will talk about what I'm looking at here. I see bishop from f1 to f5. Then I got my pawn on d5 also attacking the c6 square, making it hard to protect against that check. So I'm going to do that and hope there's not a bishop landmine there. All right, so that's a check. There's 3 ways to get out of check. Cool. Let's just keep attacking. I was hoping there was a landmine there, and then it would be like, boom, check again. Because it would open up the X-ray attack from the pawn on c6. If it got removed, then the bishop on b5 would automatically be attacking the king. So... and that would bring about one of the cool, interesting things from Trap Chess, where you can open up X-ray attacks from the square piece lands on, and doing it as a check is just so cool. It's like top level chess right here. I'm playing top level chess with Keith. Oh no, Keith, you've made a mistake. So I want to point out, I'm not gonna do this, but In chess, you have to look at the number of pieces attacking a square versus the number of pieces defending it. So that pawn I put there, I have only one other piece attacking the c6 square, and you had your bishop on b7 and your knight on e5, both attacking the c6 square. Now, that means you were good. You were good to take the pawn and properly defend, because I have one attacker, you have two defenders. I need to have more attackers for that square in order to break through your defense. Because you ran away, that opens up the opportunity for me to check you. Yeah, I figured. So now if I move my pawn forward from c6 to c7, the pawn itself is attacking your queen on the d8 square, but your king is in danger, which you have to save. So, I mean, you could block it with your queen, but I'd still take it with the bishop. So it would still be more points for me in that situation. So I'm going to let you figure out how to deal with that, but I'm taking that knight. It's my consolation prize. Taking that knight. Yeah, so you got to worry about that problem with the bishop now. There's ways around it. If you need help, ask. I'd love to show you. There is something you have to worry about with that knight too. It is attacking the only two squares your king can run to. I want to point that out as well. Sure. So right now, here I'm going to give you like a little trap chest thing that you can do first. So tap this button where it says view or hide my landmines. So look at your landmines, and if you have a landmine on the c7 square that removes pawns, you're okay, because you would think about it, my pawn would move forward onto the c7 square. Your landmine would remove it, and then you just got to deal with the check, which you can block pretty easily with your bishop, right? So that would mean you're okay, and you can just take the knight. However, if you don't have a pawn landmine on the c7 square, the only way I see out of this problem is to put your queen on c7 to block the pawn from moving. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah, so cool. So now, out of that, though, that means I got a free knight because I took your knight with my knight, and you weren't able to take it back because you would have lost your queen. So I have a couple possibilities here. I'm looking at going... now your king has a square to run to, too. It has the d8 square. To put it into perspective, I was looking at queen from d1 to h5. You had to block with the pawn on g6. Then I would move bishop back from b5 to e2, and if you took my queen with the pawn, it would have been checkmate. However, now that your king can run to the d8 square, that plan won't work anymore, because you have a square to run to that's safe. So the best thing for me to do is to save my knight. So I'm going to pull my knight out. I just want to find the perfect square. I think I want to go... I'll put it with the other knight. Yeah, now you still have a little bit of a problem over there, because basically you have your queen holding off like a pawn, you know? So I would work on trying to find solutions to that problem over there. Some good solutions are to use pawns to push me back. You know, that's pretty good. I do see, so I see pretty far ahead right now, Keith. Like, let's say you went pawn a7 to a6. I would move my bishop maybe to b4. Then you might go pawn b6 to b5. So the pawns are protecting each other. I would go b3, move my pawn from a4 to b3. Yeah, so... And then that opens up for me to take your knight on g8. And you would think, why does that matter? a knight, and a bishop. Nice. I'm happy you saw it before I said anything. Because you can basically push me off that pawn. Yeah, there's a little bit of lag. So basically, if you're pushing me to the b3 square, that's okay for me, because I'm also looking at b3 takes knight on g8. And you would think, why does that matter? A bishop for a knight is the same, because you would take me back with your rook. But then I have the move d1 to h5, which checks you. And after you block the check or save your king, I have h5 to h7, which is no longer protected because your rook would be on g8 after it took... Does that make sense? After it took back my bishop. And then your rook would basically be a sitting duck. So that's what I'm seeing with the way the board is set up. All right. So you protected against that by moving the knight out of the way. Good. But what I'm going to do is I'm still going to protect that pawn. I'm not going to let you take that pawn out of my life. I love that pawn. That pawn and I, we made plans to be together forever. And I can't let you ruin those plans. Me and that pawn, we're tight. So I'm going to protect it with my knight a little bit. So now that gives you the option. You can push my knight away by going a5. If you do that, I still protect it with the bishop. You push the bishop away with b5. The knight still protects the pawn. Totally fine. So both of those are good for me. And then if you try to push the knight away again with a5, I got pawn takes, or knight on c3 takes b5. And then my pawn is protected and your queen is in danger. And I have two knights that are looking to do some forks. They're bringing in the silverware, man. Look out. Whenever you see a knight bring in silverware, you know it's bad. You're like, oh no. You look and you're like, all right, the knives are okay. The spoons are okay. The sporks are okay. But then you see those forks. Oof, dangerous forks. Your bishop is not protected. So I could take it for free. Unless you have a bishop landmine on that square. All right. I will do this. And I will protect that pawn again with my queen. I really like, from a chess perspective, like if I was going to win, if I'm looking to win, I really like, I'm mostly just looking to have a fun game with you and like teach for this game. But I really like that your queen is basically stopped. It can't do much because of that pawn right now and the setup I did. So it allows me, if you look, it allows me to keep moving my pieces into key positions while you're forced to defend and make moves that necessarily aren't the best moves for you because of the situation with the pawn. So over time, that's going to basically come up and bite you and towards as the game goes on. Okay. Same strat, man. Same strat. Attack that queen. Get you off that square. Take the knight if you want. It's okay if the knight goes down because I'm targeting your queen. I'll probably save the knight on the next turn. So then I have an X-ray attack set up with my queen on F3. It's X-ray attacking your rook on A8 as well. So if I go there, you got 1, 2 defending. You have 2 attacking it. Great. I don't want to lose my knight to that pawn. I don't really want to deal with that. Okay. I'm going to save my knight. You know me. I really like my knights. Your bishop is now protected by your queen, which is good. Do you guys like the music? How do you feel about the music? I have everything muted on my side, but I've listened to the music a lot. See that? Conquered that ice cube. I'm thinking bishop takes on. Oh, you can't hear it. It's at the proper volume. I tested it before to make sure that the volume wouldn't be too loud, so you wouldn't be able to hear me. Okay, let's see. You really don't like that pawn there, Keith. I don't know why. The pawn is so friendly. All right. You ready, Keith? I'm going to go punish mode. That knight has the ability, like my bishop looks like it's hanging. My bishop looks like it's hanging, but it's not. It is, so you can take it for free, but the moment your queen is away from there, I can go c7 with the knight and do a triple fork. Yeah. When you keep applying pressure on your opponents through the game of chess, you can make them do moves that aren't optimal to them if you apply it correctly. Sometimes you might apply pressure incorrectly, and then you'll see like suddenly they just hit you in a spot you weren't paying attention to, and you're just like, ah. But if you are good offensively and you keep attacking well, generally your opponent will have less and less good moves. See, here it comes. Here it comes. I told you, me and that pawn are destined for great things together. I'm not going anywhere. That pawn is my buddy. Good game, Keith. Good game. That pawn and me are friends. Thanks for playing. So I've been playing 3.5 hours now, so I think I'm going to call it unless someone else wanted a rematch. But even then I can rematch you off stream since I know you guys. All right, I think I'm going to call it. Thanks for checking it out, guys. I'm really, really happy you guys checked it out. And I'll, you do. I'm really excited. I'll see you next week. So yeah, thanks for checking it out. I'll be streaming next Wednesday as well. So I stream Wednesdays starting at 5 p.m. and I'll go as late as, people play with me generally. But yeah. I'll eventually open it up and start streaming in other channels too, but I'm just doing YouTube for the beginning while I get it right. But thanks for joining me. Thanks for playing with me, everyone. I had a really great time. You guys rock. If you have any questions at all, once again, I'll see you next week. Feel free to come back and let's play again. Bye.